Edgbaston in. Wareham smacks it into the offside. They go through for one. Throw comes in there. She's home. Australia win by 4 wickets with 1 ball to spare. But I tell you what, England there got so close to the world champions. The headline is Australia have won. They won by 4 wickets. They picked up another 2 points. They're 6-0 up.
Yes, so close, but yet so far for England as Australia took a 6-0 lead in this Women's Ashes series. It means England need 9 points from a possible 10. So, if we don't see any bad weather or any ties, England need to win every single game remaining in this Women's Ashes series. We've got these 2 T20s, the first of which is here at the Oval this evening, then Lords on Saturday before 3 one-day internationals to wrap up the Women's Ashes. Goodness, England were close on Saturday at Edgbaston in front of 20,000, and we've got another mighty crowd here in South London this evening. Close to 20,000 tickets have been sold, as well as over 1,500 in hospitality. It's going to be another rocking evening as this Women's Ashes continues to capture the minds and imaginations of the cricket-watching public, and England need all the support that they can get because it is such a tough ask against this Australian side who are just so good. Of course, world champions in T20 international cricket, 50-over cricket, Commonwealth Games as well. They are there to be beaten. England have got close twice, but in Australia, they've got the points thus far. 6-0 they lead, and a return to the Oval for an England-Australia fixture for the first time since 2009, and a player who was part of that game as well. Alex Blackwell, Australia legend, close to 250 appearances for Australia. Former captain is with us. Alex, we'll reflect on that day 14 years ago in due course, but more recently than that on Saturday, what a good game that was up at Edgbaston.
It was a brilliant game, highly entertaining. England, they've got close twice now. The test match was riveting across the 5 days. They had their moments, England did, and they pushed Australia. And they'll feel encouraged that it's possible to beat this team, but they have to now beat them 5 times. So, it is a tough ask. All to play for tonight at the Oval.
Yep, Australia have won the toss and will be bowling first, so we'll be seeing England batting first up as we did a couple of days ago. England have made one change to their team. Charlie Dean replaces Freya Davis. I'll go through the 2 teams in full in a moment. Australia unchanged, but part of our commentary team this evening and on Saturday night, Melissa Story. It feels, Melissa, that England are very close. It's almost like they just need to get across the line once, and that will almost break the spell.
Absolutely. At this stage, it almost feels, psychological for England that they come up against this team. They see them as invincible, and it's not going to help the team mindset. But this new leadership under John Lewis and the benefit of having some younger players in the team, like Alice Capsey, who don't have that psychological baggage of, oh my goodness, we always lose to Australia. What are we doing here? They've come in, they've exchanged a few words already. At least Izzy Wong did before the series. She said this is a different England team than what Australia are used to playing. So definitely they've got to get over that hurdle, but part of me can't help but think that Saturday was probably the best opportunity, or one of the best opportunities for England, and actually maybe 10 runs in the end was all England needed just to compete with Australia a little bit more. And
they did get close. It was down to the penultimate ball of the game, Alex. Sophie Eccleston, who took 2 for in that match, as well as those 10 wickets across the 2 innings in the test matches, says we've seen weirder things than England winning all 5 matches. We've seen weirder things than that in cricket previously, but it would take something quite spectacular if England could turn it round. They just got to look at it game by game, though.
Absolutely. Game by game, they know this team is beatable. They've got close. Someone like Sophie Eccleston, well, she's dominated the Australians. So she, quite rightly, can come out in the media and say, we can do this. She believes it. I think what we haven't seen is pressure up the other end. We've got the world's best T20 bowler, Sophie Eccleston, but it drops away a little bit for England. So I think their bowling has been a little concerning, and their fielding as well. So they've got areas to improve, and if they do that, they can knock off this world-beating Australian team.
England's batting the other night sort of went in fits and starts a little bit, Melissa, with Dunkley playing really nicely at the top of the order with that 50, but that engine room, if you like, of Wyatt and Capsey and Siva Brunt, it didn't quite fire in the way that England would have hoped that it would, and they've got to get runs there tonight.
They do, and actually Sophia Dunkley was a really good example on Saturday or last Saturday of what you need to do, even if things aren't quite coming out the middle, because at points in that innings from her, she ended on 59 from 49 balls. At times she didn't look that fluent and she was looking to struggle, but one thing she did really well, and what this England side has maybe not done as well over these last few years, is pushing those twos and going, actually, yes, I'm not able to play those big shots because I'm not quite finding the middle, but actually we've got a big outfield here, particularly at the Oval today. It's big square of the wicket. We can just work things round, and it's almost those ugly runs that, yes, you know, you may have struggled, but don't just throw away your wicket if things are hard out there. And things are going to be hard out there. You're facing an Australian team who have plenty of bowling options, and they really come at you with their slow bowlers in particular.
Well, those bowling options, 7 bowlers were used on Saturday, and they didn't even use Elise Perry, and only Megan Schutt's taken more wickets than her in T20 internationals for Australia. So this drive for all-rounders that we saw post-2017, it's wonderful Australia, but it isn't half a headache for everyone else. I mean, the options are extraordinary.
The options are extraordinary for Australia. Really, the only players that don't bowl are the 2 wicket keepers on the field. So it's an exceptionally deep lineup, highly talented. I guess one of the concerning things for me with England is that they didn't respond particularly well to the left-hand, right-hand combinations in the batting lineup for Australia. You've got Beth Mooney in there, who's world class. You've got Jess Jonathan in there as well. It's difficult for the England bowlers to respond to that, and the inexperience bowling to the left-hand, right-hand was on display at Edgbaston. And there are no left-hand bats in the England side. You've got to go back to Lydia Greenway to consider, a frontline batter who's left-handed for England. So where are they? I'm not sure.
It's a debate that we've had many times. Some talk about how hockey is coached in schools is one thing, with a lot of dominant right-handed sticks as well, as much as anything else, and all sorts of theories about it. One change that England have made, and we mentioned earlier, was Charlie Dean coming in for Freya Davis, so the off spinner. And I saw you. I'm going to have to reveal this for this. You were working out the spin options for England at the back of the commentary box a moment ago, and having Charlie Dean against those left-handers is going to be a little bit of a different weapon for England tonight.
Yeah, I'm a very visual learner, first of all, and I had to just double check which way the ball was going. But just having those 3 spinners, all completely different, you have that ability to say, actually, left-handers come in, let's get Charlie Dean in, for example, or get something else and keeps things fresh, because as we say, Eccleston's brilliant. She holds down an end. There is the bowlers at the other end who need to support her. So if you can chop and change Sarah Glenn with her leg spin and Charlie Dean with her off spin, it will just keep Australia on their toes a bit more. And then, of course, you had Danny Gibson, who made her debut last Saturday as well, bowled really well, and bowled with quite a hard ball as well. So England have those options, particularly towards the end of the power play overs. They just need to be flexible. I think one thing this Australian team is they're always flexible to conditions. They bowled, Darcy Brown, her entire 4 allocated overs really early on last Saturday in the game, because they recognised that her bowling was suiting the conditions early on. England sometimes are a bit more rigid in their tactics. They've just got to change things up today if the situation requires it.
One thing that I noticed as well, Sophie Eccleston, the frontline bowler, the one that creates pressure, she was used in 4 one-over spells, and then the pressure was released sort of the next over. So we didn't see that pressure build up to potentially get wickets that England needed.
Yeah, and that is the issue, is where England find that pressure to really put together a set of overs that can cause Australia problems. Well, the sun is shining here in South London. There are some clouds overhead, but it is a lovely evening, and the crowd filtering in from the concourses. Well over 20,000 will be in to watch this game. And Australia in that banana yellow uniform. They claim it's green and gold. I'm not having a bit of it, Alex Blackwell.
Banana yellow. I like that. Canary yellow use. Yes.
Let's go with that.
I think it's quite visually intimidating.
It is.
It's very, very bright. I recall when we had the black uniform in T20 World Cup, so we got feedback from opposition that you're not quite as daunting.
Is that right?
Yeah, so you look bigger when you're in this canary yellow.
I reckon green is quite good because you can hide in the field.
Yeah, that would be good.
A little bit of camouflage. Anyway, the Australian team are gathering at the far end of the ground next to the flag bearers, and we're going to see the fireworks go going up in a moment. But let me go through the two sides. England with Sophia Dunkley, Danny Wyatt, Alice Capsey, Nat Sciver-Brunt, who we think will be fit to bowl despite that troublesome right knee. Heather Knight is captain. Amy Jones played brilliantly the other night, 40 off 21, much needed runs for England. Danny Gibson plays for the second time in England colours. Sophie Eccleston, as we've mentioned, Sarah Glenn, Charlie Dean into the side, and Lauren Bell. Australia with Beth Mooney, who was outstanding with an unbeaten half-century the other night. Alyssa Healy captains and keeps wicket. Talia McGrath, Ash Gardner, Elise Perry, Grace Harris, who had a rather unfortunate first ball, having marched out singing along with the music the other night, which is always a brave call, but she's not a character that I sense will be overly concerned by that. She's quite the force of nature. Annabelle Sutherland, Georgia Wareham, who hit the winning run, Jess Jonathan, Megan Schutt and Darcy Brown. So Australia unchanged, the one change for England, and a reminder, England, if they lose, cannot win the Ashes. It is on the line. Melissa, from what you've heard from the various press conferences and conversations around this England camp, they seem a very happy bunch. They seem quite relaxed. Can they win? Can they start a little bit of a roll?
Oh, I mean, it's a tough one to say because... But outside of this, as an England fan, of course, you want to say, yes, they can. But if you look at the history and the background to the domestic structures in Australia and England, of course, Australia started so much earlier than England. So for me, it's going to be maybe when the Ashes come around next time here at home, when these two sides may be a bit more on par. But it's nice in a way that almost, you know, we've been advertising and marketing this Ashes as two Ashes series this summer, and both the men's and women's team are in quite similar positions. They're up against the odds, and there is the opportunity for this brilliant narrative starting today and going on with the Headingley Test, that this is the turnaround moment. We're almost at the halfway point. There is still a chance, and when there's still a chance, this England team are going to keep fighting.
Yeah, and it feels to me that in both the men's and women's Ashes, Alex, in all four of the matches we've seen so far, on another day, it could easily have gone the other. We could be talking about England 2-0 up and 6-0 up in both series.
Yeah, and that's what's made these Ashes so good to watch. And the crowds, they're showing that they're interested by coming through the gates and filling these stadiums, not for the men's test matches, but for the women's games as well. And I think Melissa mentioned another 10 runs from England in the first 2020 would have been the difference.
Yeah.
I hope they actually get a win tonight, because I'd love the Ashes to still be alive going into the last 4 games. But they had a very poor power play. So Dunkley and Wyatt will be looking to rectify that tonight. They get an opportunity to bat first. It was their lowest power play in the last 12 innings. So England know they can perform much better in that part of the game. And so they'll go out tonight, I think, and really take it to the Aussie fast bowlers.
What about this crowd as well? Because this is the venue where the 100 was launched 2 years ago, and it was a women's match, Oval Invincibles against the Manchester Originals. And it felt like a real turning point for the women's game in this country. Huge crowd. I remember Maddie Villiers hitting a 6 down the ground, and the noise around the place was amazing. England have to lean into that, get that support on their side, and use it for all it's worth.
Absolutely, and I say this as a person who's the same age as some of the players running out there in the middle, and the change that I've been able to see in terms of crowds in my lifetime and a lot of the players' lifetimes has been absolutely insane. And sometimes you get all giddy thinking about it, and you're just so proud for the sport. But not only is it a brilliant thing for getting fans in and just for the overall marketing of the game, as you say, England have got to use it. And you had a firing Edgbaston, which has so often been described as the fortress for England. And I think England could have almost lent into it a bit more. You see Stuart Broad sometimes trying to rile up the crowd a bit. When the players are on the boundary, get the fans engaged, get them behind you, because you need that extra voice out there on the field.
Yeah, somebody like Catherine Sciver-Brunt there, I say, and Izzy Wong, somebody who is that sort of vivacious, exuberant character on the field, maybe is that person. Just before we let you go for the time being, Melissa, what do you want to see from England that we didn't see the other night in the power play?
I think I mentioned just before about running those twos. It came a little later in England's innings. Of course, I think in the power play you get so distracted with going, just hit these boundaries, really, really go, crash, bang, wallet. But here there's the chance to pick up those quick singles run, as Alex said, get a better power play. England were going at 9s in the T20 World Cup earlier this year, so they've got to make sure they go at a similar rate and just get that head start on Australia.
Melissa, thank you very much indeed. Melissa Story, part of our team. We'll also be hearing from Alex Hartley and Emily Windsor as well. Remember, highlights in play available with our live text commentary on the BBC Sport website and app, and we will have a podcast not only previewing the men's Ashes test from Headingley tomorrow, but a look back on this game after the match tonight. And there are highlights as well for you to watch on BBC television and on the iPlayer. So whatever way you want to follow it, we have you covered, whether online, on television or on radio. We're here with you across the Ashes summer, here across the BBC and indeed the ABC. Lovely to be with you in Australia as well in the wee small hours down under. But brilliant to have you with us. We're going to have Darcy Brown kicking things off for Australia. In the sunshine, it's going to be Dunkley on strike first up, and here comes Darcy Brown. Past umpire Russell Warren. It's a delivery which strikes the pad, and there's enthusiasm from the bowler and a little from the keeper, but not, I wouldn't say necessarily quite enough to dictate the need to go upstairs. Umpire Anna Harris, it is at this end, who says no, and for me that's a good decision.
From watching Elisa Healy a lot, I can tell when she feels that it's out. She bends her back and lifts her arm and her gloves over the top. And quite quickly she put those arms down, felt that it was going down leg.
Brown bowls. This is driven into the offside off the bat of Dunkley, but there is no run. We hear the strains of Jerusalem booming around, and lovely to hear some of the Barmies in as well. Phil Long's our scorer and's alongside. Hello, Phil.
I promise I'll say this only once, OK? We'll get it out of the way. Australia, last 24 T20s, they've won 23 of them. Australia's last 42 ODIs, they've won 41 of them.
That's fine, we've said it now. In comes Darcy Brown, bowling to Dunkley. Oh, that's a fortunate shot, but it is going to bring 4 runs. It's a wild swipe that flies over the keeper and slip, and down to the boundary for 4 without loss.
So I'm saying this would be the greatest sporting comeback of all time.
Oh, better than Istanbul 2005?
Had to be better than that.
Yeah.
To win 5 games in a row against that kind of form would be...
In white ball cricket.
Would be incredible.
Right then. Well, you've laid the marker now, Phil. Dunkley waiting, 4 not out. As Darcy Brown bowls, this is driven into the air on the bounce. There's a few in the ground that think it might be a catch, but it goes a bump ball to the hands of Talia McGrath, who marches back to a position at cover. Where are these fielders outside the circle then? The power plays, of course, allow 2 outside the circle, and Australia of those 2 at deep backward square leg and quite a wide deep third. We've got a mid-on, a mid-off, a mid-wicket, a slip, a gully, or more of a short third really, but that's now becoming a backward point, and we're seeing a little bit of a shift in the field, and we're going to see a backward point and 2 covers. So that's where things are at the moment for Australia, as Danny Wyatt on strike for the first time today. She has got a T20 international 100 in the Ashes against Australia. And Brown bowls. This is shoveled into the leg side by Wyatt, who'll pick up a single down towards that fielder at long leg, and 6 without loss. She's actually got 200s against Australia, has Danny Wyatt, T20s.
I recall the one in the Ashes at Manuka Oval. Beth Mooney hit 100 in the first innings, and then Wyatt went one better, hit 100 in the second innings, and got England into that Ashes series. They ended up winning the T20 series within the multi-format.
Brown bowls. Oh, that's an inventive shot. Scooped over the shoulder, down towards the boundary. 2 fielders converge, but the ball gets there first. Dunkley with an inventive scoop to move England to 10 without loss after the first over. And that's what they were looking for. Quick start. And Darcy Brown's first over showed plenty of life and bounce off this pitch, but England equal to it. Yeah, that series in 2017, a drawn Ashes series, but Australia retaining the trophy, having won it in 2015.
Yeah, and Australia will want to win the Ashes outright. It's never nice just to retain it and end up on a drawn series and then take the trophy home. So even if Australia win tonight, they will secure the Ashes. They can't lose it, but England have an opportunity to draw the series if they win the last 4. The intent from England, it's pretty clear, isn't it? They went really hard at Darcy Brown, who's the quickest in the bowling attack for Australia. They swung hard and they got the edges, they got those 4s, but then they were also hitting and running to the inner circle fielders. So the intent is really clear there.
Megan Schutt is going to bowl to Danny Wyatt, whose wicket she took the other night. And first delivery almost gets through onto the pad of Wyatt, who gets in a bit of a tangle. She also had that very strange incident where the ball clipped the off stump and didn't knock the bails.
Well, psychologically, Darcy Brown actually bowled Danny Wyatt at Edgbaston, but the bail didn't move. It just sort of popped up and went back in its groove. So Danny was out twice, really. One to Brown and one to Schutt, ultimately.
In comes Schutt, bowling to Wyatt, drops the ball into the offside. They're going to have to be quick here as Mooney throws, but the throw, though the right general direction, was well over the top of the stumps, and England pick up another single. So 11 without loss is that England's score. Schutt marching to the far end. For me, one of the great losses in world sport is Megan Schutt no longer doing the bounce before she bowls. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
She used to do the sort of 1, 2, 3 squat, charge, and she's given up that.
Yes.
And for me, up there with Jordan's slam dunk, in comes Schutt down the leg side. It's a loose ball, wide signal. 12 without loss.
Great pickup. I actually hadn't noticed that. I mean, we didn't get to see Schutt in the 5-day test match. I think throughout that 5 days I may have noticed it, but I didn't notice that in the first T20. A significant change in her run-up.
She used to sort of wait at the end of the mark, bounce and then charge in. Now it's just a much more smooth approach as she runs in towards us now. Bowling to Dunkley, who comes forward, thinks about unwinding something vicious, and in the end just drops it to Mooney at backward point. There
was something about prepping her tendons. So she's had some knee issues, and that patella tendon that goes from the kneecap down to the shin bone or the tibia. So yeah, she used to do that to almost sort of get those tendons ready before the takeoff.
Okay, interesting. Down the track comes Dunkley, swipes across the line in a way that only she can, really, and picks out Ash Gardner at deep mid-wicket with one taken.
I don't really know the logic behind it, but she did explain that to me at some stage. And I have noticed her knee is very heavily strapped, so perhaps there's some sort of issue with some pain that she's managing.
Just seeing a replay of that ball. It was a cutter from Schutt. A leg cutter. In comes the Australian bowler now. Wyatt mistimes a drive that drops gently towards McGrath at cover. Nice murmur around the oval. With blue skies overhead. It's one of the great plane watching grounds, this, in world cricket.
Straight over the...
Right on the flight path going into Heathrow. You'll see the shadows occasionally as well. In comes Schutt, bowling to Wyatt, dropping that ball into the offside. Mooney sprints in, but can't throw the ball in time. But just 4 from the over. 2 gone. And England are 14 without loss after 2 overs. Dunkley on 10. Wyatt is on 3.
Reminder to all spectators.
And Alex Blackwell alongside me, Henry Moran, and Phil Long, our scorer as well, who's he's like a travelling stationery cupboard.
Travelling light tonight. Just bought a couple of black pens and colours, that's it. And a ruler.
Oh, you've got to have a ruler.
And vital Tipex.
Not that you ever do make mistakes. It's always important just in case.
That bottle of Tipex tells a different story, Henry.
I know that as whiteout.
Do you?
Tipex, I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
That's like one of those things that is a brand that has become the thing. Do you know what I mean? Here comes Darcy Brown, slashed away behind square by Wyatt. He'll pick up a single towards deep backward point. 15 without loss.
Yeah, England have been really intent on those drop and runs, and what we saw as a contrast between the two teams at Edgbaston was a much stronger in-out field, stopping the singles against Australia when England got to field. We see quite a flat field here. The inner circle fielders are right on those dotted lines.
Darcy Brown again, right arm over. This has gone, a mile in the air. Can anyone get underneath that? I'm backing the ball here. And the ball eventually does drop safely as Mooney ran round from slip but couldn't get there. It was actually up for so long, they almost ran 2 in the time before it got back down again.
We've seen a couple of deliveries, top edges, short ball from Darcy Brown, Sophia Dunkley going for it, getting that top edge, and it's going directly behind the wicketkeeper. Sometimes I wonder about the placement of those deep fielders. Perhaps you could have quite a fine, almost a backstop.
Brown bowling, and a big swing and a miss from Dunkley, who Saw the ball just get a little big on her and it goes through to the keeper.
Lovely carry. The pitch looks good. This is what we want. International T20 cricket. You said it took us back to 2009 when the only other T20 international was played. That was the first ever T20 World Cup for women, and I was a part of that. We lost that game. It was a semi-final.
Last time England won that tournament. As Brown bowls to Dunkley, who swats that ball towards deep backward square for one.
I remember the wicket being pretty good. I think we got about 160 in the first innings. Felt very comfortable with that back in 2009. And then a record run chase, Claire Taylor and Beth Morgan, and they killed us with twos. And that's what Melissa spoke about pre-game, that it's a sort of a wide field and you can put it into the pockets and run hard.
Brown bowling to Wyatt, who gets 4. Smacked away through the covers. And the fans around the oval like that, goes flying away towards the gasometer. Just a little bit of width offered, and Wyatt loves to hit the ball through the offside and plays that really nicely. 22 without loss.
Cross-seam delivery there from Darcy Brown, so I wonder if she's just struggling a little bit with the control. She's certainly bowling with great power, pace and bounce. Just a little bit of width on that occasion. And Danny Wyatt doesn't need much to create width for herself through the offside.
In comes Brown again to conclude the over. Ooh, good carry once more as the ball lifts off a length and goes through to Elisa Healy. So 3 overs gone. England 22 without loss, having been asked to bat first by Australia. And Phil Long's got something for you.
Yeah, the 2009 semi-final we were just talking about there. Let's have a little word for Laura Marsh. We'd often talk about Laura and that famous inning at Wormsley, don't we? That day she bowled 4. She opened the bowling. She bowled 4 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 12.
Oh.
As Australia made 163 for 5, and as you mentioned, Alex, England 165 for 2, one with 4 balls to spare.
Thanks for the reminder, Phil.
Here comes Shoot, running into bowl to Dunkley. That's a very loopy delivery, very wide as well. And Russell Warren adds 1 to England's tally, 23 without loss.
And just to complete the story, England went on to play the final at Lord's and they won.
Beat New Zealand.
Yep. I think it was not quite as exciting, that match, but England won't care. A World Cup win at Lord's.
Shoot bowling to Dunkley, who swats across the line. Oh, mix up. Dunkley's going to have to be quick. Get back to her ground. She does. And there was a little bit of a mix up there. The eagerness to take the singles is reflected in terms of Dunkley's aspirations, but not necessarily Wyatt's, who stayed absolutely in her ground at the non-striker's end. And I think Grace Harris was expecting to see a chance at the non-striker's end, but in the end it was Dunkley who had to go back. She gives herself room. It's gone high in the air. This should be the first wicket. McGrath running in, drops it. That's a really poor drop, should have been taken. And a rare error in the Australian fielding unit. It was up there a while. It is sunny, but anything that goes high inside the circle, you'd expect any top team and any fielder in that team to take the catch. Not on this occasion.
Yeah, just a little bit of hesitation there from McGrath. Not sure that she thought that was her catch.
Down the leg side. Oh, beats everyone, including the keeper. 5 wides. Insult to injury.
Well, we saw some sky balls hit at Edgbaston that went really high, and I guess it's a reflection on Dunkley swinging the bat at 100%. If you're going to get an edge, you want it to go far or you want it to go high. Give yourself a chance. And that is uncharacteristic from Talia McGrath to put that down. The Australians weren't quite as good in their fielding at Edgbaston, and that game could have been England's.
Shoot then, with England 29 without loss. He's bowling to Wyatt, who lifts the ball away over backward point in for 4. This is a good start from England. Yes, there was the opportunity, but they're moving along at a good rate. 33 without loss midway through the 4th.
Yeah, there's no doubt here. England are taking on the Aussies. World-class bowling in the power play at Edgbaston. It was a poor performance with the bat, but they've come out firing today.
So Wyatt on to 12. This is Down the leg side, and Dunkley wants a quick single. Good running, good throw from Darcy Brown. A bullet arm, but Dunkley is home and the throw misses in any case.
Well, they've got to throw a little bit of caution here because if they don't win tonight, that's ashes gone. Their hopes are crushed then. So it wasn't too unexpected to see the aggression from England.
In comes Shoot, and Dunkley taps this away off the pads into the leg side. They'll push for the first. No is the cry for that second run. I think that's wise because out there in the deep, Georgia Wareham also has a good arm. I should tell you that the highlights this evening on the BBC iPlayer and BBC Sport website from 11 p.m. So that's where you'll be able to find them. Here comes Megan Schutt. England 35 without loss. Final ball of the fourth. Sees Wyatt rather cramped for room, and she decides just to drop that ball in front of her. End of the over. An expensive one with 12 from it. And England 35 without loss. I would imagine, Phil Long, there've not been that many opening 4 overs for this Australian side that have seen quite that many runs scored against them. But it's a little surprise that as we see on the big screen, the England team, they're the ones with the smiles on their faces. Right then, Annabelle Sutherland is going to have a bowl.
Yeah, forcing a bit of a change here from the Australians. So in the last power play, it was Shoot, Brown and Gardner. We didn't see Sutherland bowl until sort of middle of the overs. She performed well, though, in her 2 overs bowled, just 10 off it. So did a really great job of sort of a holding role and a bit more defensive. So we see a field set for very straight bowling and hard length. So into the pitch, we've got 2 fielders out on the leg side.
Sutherland right arm over, bowling to Dunkley, who gives herself a little bit of room, looking to open up the offside. And Sutherland actually bowled that well, saw her move and then just chased her a little bit. And that meant Dunkley could do little more than just work that ball for a single to the square leg boundary. 36 without loss.
Yeah, so I don't expect to see too much swing from Sutherland. Maybe more into the pitch bowling, cross seam at times, just try and get a little bit out of the surface. A change in field to Wyatt with one deep backward point, just reflecting slightly different areas the 2 batters hit.
Sutherland bowling to Wyatt, who checks the drive, and it's stopped by McGrath and recovers cleanly on this occasion.
So Sutherland targeting sort of off to middle stump. These 2 batters are going to hit the ball very differently. The bottom hand grip of Dunkley, that ball is always going to go leg side, whereas Wyatt, she stays leg side of the ball and lifts the ball through and over cover.
Wyatt on strike as in comes Sutherland. It's a full delivery, which is driven behind square on the offside, but the fielder at deep third can run round to pick up Ash Gardner in the sunglasses. Good start from Sutherland, just 2 from the first 3 balls. The floodlights are shining. They don't need to be. It's a bright evening, early evening here at the Oval, South London, not far from the river. Lovely walk down from Vauxhall Step train station.
Gorgeous ground.
Here comes Sutherland, bowling to Dunkley. That's a good-looking shot, and it's 4. Fielder lost it on the leg side, and the ball was at the boundary in a flash. She almost was replicating what you might see just down the way at Wimbledon the next couple of weeks. It was a 4-arm smash as much as anything else, and Dunkley gets another boundary to move to 20.
Yeah, interesting challenge here. The Australians fielding in front of a packed crowd, and maybe Mooney there just lost it in the crowd.
England 41 without loss as in comes Sutherland, and this time Dunkley just nudges that ball to the fielder at mid-wicket. A single is taken to the right of Grace Harris.
So I used to watch, a lot of men's cricket and see the inner fielders sort of wave their arm to sort of signal which direction the ball had gone, and I used to think that was like, why do they do that? Like, you can see the ball. But I didn't have the privilege of playing in front of lots of big crowds, and I think that's probably why.
Do you think? That's
I'm just thinking out loud now. And it's much more common, of course, that the women play in front of big crowds now.
Final ball of the over. Sees Wyatt just tapping that ball into the offside. She'll get a single and it's through well before McGrath can get the throw in. And 5 overs gone. All so far so good for this England side, who find themselves 43 without loss after 5. Reminder, in-play highlights on the BBC Sport website and app. Highlights on the iPlayer and BBC Sport website in full from 11 this evening. And so many ways for you to follow the action. Men's Test gets underway. Our coverage 10:25 tomorrow morning from Headingley. And after 5 overs here, 43 without loss, Alex Blackwell. In a moment, you'll be joined by Emily Winter.
Well, much improved power play for England. They needed it. This is a must-win game to keep their Ashes hopes alive. One more over of the power play. It's going to be bowled by spin. It's Ash Gardner coming in. And we've seen both Wyatt and Dunkley show their hand early. They're going hard in this power play. They needed to put pressure on the Aussies.
Yeah, absolutely. And on a pitch like this, England are going to need a big total here. Good evening, everyone. Ashley Gardner will be bowling to 2 fielders out to Danny Wyatt on the leg side, a deep mid-wicket, a deep square leg, and a ring of fielders on that offside. As Ash Gardner from the pavilion end bowls, and that's worked to a vacant square leg for a single. Good rotation of the strike from these two. Slight misfield from Australia. They're off the boil today. Darcy Brown there at fine leg just slipped, so they come back for a couple. Good awareness. Danny Wyatt to 16, 45 without loss.
We had a 5-day test match where we just kept talking about the quality of the fielding for Australia across that longer format. We haven't seen them at their best the last 2 matches.
Gardner in over the wicket, and that's pushed into the offside. They think about a quick signal. Communication not good, but quick to it. And that's no run.
Dare I say, Alex, the fielding's been poor so far, hasn't it?
It has. I think there was at least 2 run-out chances missed at Edgbaston. One at the stumps where Jono just didn't quite take the ball before taking the bails. We had a drop catch from Georgia Wareham in the outfield, which we rarely see.
Gardner in, Wyatt advances, it's over the top of mid-off. One bounce and it's plugged in the outfield, but it finds its way to the boundary. More intent from Danny Wyatt. She's on 20 off 17, 49 without loss, England.
Game on here. England are saying, we're going to take it to you, Australia. Playing with some freedom. These two enjoy that sort of freedom to play their shots. It's well suited to their game.
Long on, deep mid-wicket out as Gardner in bowls, and that's hit thick outside edge for Danny Wyatt. And Australia aren't fielding well, but the luck's going England's way. And that's 50 up for England, 53 without loss. Wyatt's now to 24.
Well, their last power play was 2 wickets for 36, so a much improved power play so far, a few deliveries to come. And they are swinging the bat hard and getting the edges, and they're flying.
Fantastic wicket as Gardner in, and in the fence from Danny Wyatt down the pitch this time. A rare dot ball for England in this power play, just 1 ball remains of it, but without the loss of a wicket as well here, Alex. England are right on top.
Right on top.
As Gardner in again, bowls, and that's cut away into the onside, length delivery, and hit out to one of her sweepers, so it'd be a single to finish the power play. 54 without loss. How did that compare, Phil, to England's power play at Edgbaston in the first T20?
Yeah, as Alex mentions, a very bang average, I think, say 36 for 2 at Edgbaston. Far better tonight. As you mentioned, a 54 without loss.
And obviously in that, the drop catch of Sophia Dunkley on 13. She was dropped by McCraw, a catch that really should have been taken. A change in the commentary box. Alex Blackwell, former Australian international, leaves us. World Cup winning Alex Hartley will be joining us. As Darcy Brown, the pace of Darcy Brown comes from this end. Good evening, Alex.
Good evening.
What do you make of this start from England?
A belting start for England, isn't it?
Darcy Brown to Danny Wyatt, full, and that's cut away to a wide third man for a single. Wyatt moves to 26, 55 without loss.
They just look so much more in control. They look like they're taking the positive option. They're being aggressive and actually wanting to put Australia under the pump. And you know, the power play that England had in the previous game wasn't their best. I think there was 36 on the board, so they were really behind the 8 ball from the off.
Must-win game this for England to keep the Ashes alive. As Brown into Dunkley, and she's gone for a booming drive, a half appeal from Elisa Healy behind the stumps, but nothing from the bowler, so a dot ball. 55 without loss. But you feel, Alex, on a pitch like this, we know the Oval traditionally, more in men's fixtures we see here, it's a road. We need runs, and what do you think they need? Australia have such a good batting lineup.
320.
320. We're in for a thriller if that's the case. As Darcy Brown, right arm over bowl, short, pulled into the onside. A cry of catch it, but over mid-wicket. They're going to run well here. These two quick between the wickets. They settle for 2. Dunkley will move to 21-57 without loss.
I think what the previous game showed, that anything 150 plus is competitive, but probably not competitive enough. I think England will be looking to target that 175 region.
It's a decent sized playing area here. It's a big playing surface at the Oval. The square goes right across the ground as Brown into Dunkley gives herself room high up into the air. Talia McGrath is under it. Will she take it this time? Juggled, and she took it on the 4th attempt. Sophia Dunkley, though, has to go for 23. 57 for 1 England, but they weren't a safe pair of hands, Alex.
Well, the ball was up in the air for a very, 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 very long time. Talia McGrath set underneath it, stands still, doesn't move an inch. Hands above her head, above her shoulders. Catches it, drops it, catches it again waist height, juggles it. It's a great catch. She ends up grabbing it one-handed in her left hand, and a huge sigh of relief. She doesn't smile, she doesn't celebrate, she thinks, oh my goodness.
Yes, that was one of those that when she was stood under it, I feel like everyone was nervous for her there. And they'll certainly be laughing in that huddle, but coming to the crease now for England in the 7th over, Nat Sciver-Brunt. She's going to be crucial for England here. The Surrey girl. She wouldn't have played at the Oval all that much, but it's her hometown. 57 for 1 England. Sun is shining overhead. Clouds in the sky.
And more hometowns than hot dinners, though, Nats. She spent a bit of time up in Yorkshire.
What is her hometown now?
Loughborough.
Is that a town, Loughborough?
Loughborough's a town.
Is it?
Yeah.
Loughborough's just the university, isn't it?
Loughborough town centre.
Full of students. Darcy Brown then, extra pace, she's bowling it into the wicket here. I think Australia much needed that wicket. I'm sure Nat Sciver-Brunt's going to continue with the intent. As Brown bowls full Yorker delivery, played up to mid-on, will be no run.
It's a great start to Sciver-Brunt, that. As a bowler, you always look to go slightly fuller to Sciver-Brunt because she loves to play off the back foot. You push that ball slightly fuller when she first comes to the crease to try and get her out LBW.
Danny Wyatt's alongside her on 26. She's played nicely so far. 4 fielders out then, all behind the bat. As Brown in bowls, that's cut to backward a point. Misfield again by Australia. That should have been stopped, but that's Nat Sciver off the mark. That's disappointing from Australia. 58 for 1. That's 7 overs gone.
A few misfields today from Australia. Whether or not there's that element of complacency, they know that they only need to win 1 more game of these last remaining few, and they've won the Ashes.
I'm not going to make an excuse for them, but I do remember when I was fielding here in evening games for the Oval Invincibles in the 100, and it was really hard to pick the ball up square of the wicket, and we actually saw that from one of the fielders on the boundary early on. But
it's the white seats, isn't it? So there's a few empty white seats, and obviously the white ball coming out of them. It's quite glary.
Expecting a big crowd in though today. 19,963 tickets sold, plus 1,500 hospitality.
I was worried about the crowd actually, because we saw about Edgbaston how many tickets they'd sold for weeks and weeks, and I'd not seen anything about the Oval. But a brilliant crowd.
Is that bowl? That's a full delivery, and that's punished by Nat Sciver through the covers. Full toss from Sutherland. I think she was trying to go for a slower ball there, but you can't bowl that to Nat Sciver. She's on 5 now, 62 for 1.
Yeah, Sciver-Brunt doesn't miss out on those deliveries. Full toss outside the off stump, back of the hand, slower ball from Sutherland. Slap through the offside. Even with that deep cover, she hits it hard enough for 4.
It's exactly what Siva Brunt would have wanted early in her innings as she bowls again down the leg side, taken well by Healy. Be signalled a wide. Again, extras we've seen from Australia as well, which we so rarely see.
Well, they had a period of time where they were bowling so many extras. They played Pakistan in a series out in Australia. There was one game where they bowled about 23 extras. And it's something they've really had to talk about and get better.
Sutherland then right arm over into Siva Brunt, who heaves that into the onside up to mid-on, but only finds the fielder. Will be a dot ball. Real intent from Siva Brunt. The 4 fielders out, deep square leg, deep fine leg, deep cover, deep third. Definitely looking to bowl length on this pitch, aren't they, Alex?
Yeah, I think you have to as well, but also keep the stumps in play.
Just a delay in play. The umpire making Sutherland wait at the top of her mark from the pavilion end. She comes charging in. Siva Brunt advances and misses. That's beaten the leg stump. Great take by Elisa Healy. 63 for 1.
Bit of movement there as well, a bit of nip off the surface, just cuts Nat Siva in half really, but the slower ball tactic is what Sutherland is going to go to, so change of field, Beth Mooney up to short third and deep mid-wicket out on the boundary.
Big gap then on that onside for Siva Brunt, where she's so strong. And Sutherland in, and that's outside the off stump. A miss again by Nat Siva Brunt, trying to cut through the offside. Fantastic over this from Sutherland so far. 63 for 1.
Siva's missed out there, hasn't she? Really missed out there, and she knows it. Hands on top of her head, shakes her helmet.
I just love the fact, though, that she's so good she can just laugh about it.
Yeah.
International game, Ashes on the line. Sutherland in, short ball, and that's a top edge down to Healy. It's bounced way before, but another dot ball for Sutherland. 5 runs from the over so far, but this is 4 dots in a row now for Australia.
Yeah, good change-ups from Sutherland. Just cross-seam delivery there. Bouncer comes off the toe end of Siva Brunt's bat.
Sutherland then, 1 ball remains of this 8th over. Floodlights are on, but not in use. And she's in, bowls, and that's cut through the offside. Short and wide. And Siva Brunt will punish that through extra cover and mid-off. That's a boundary. She's on to 9, 67 for 1.
Well, even despite those 4 dot balls, 9 runs coming off that over, Siva Brunt just staying patient, hitting the ball through the offside when it's in her area. That's the fine margins of T20 cricket, isn't it? You know, you bowl 4 really good balls and then one that's just fractionally too short and wide, and it gets punished.
It looked too easy, that, didn't it, from Siva Brunt? She just almost had time to wait for it and place it through that gap in the offside. I sometimes think as well, extra cover there was sat a little bit deeper on the ring, which sometimes can open up that gap even wider. As when they're a bit tighter, the angle looks slightly smaller. But they know how hard Siva Brunt hits it, so they're going to sit on the ring. So spin from this end, the commentary end. Elise Perry at a long off, long on, deep mid-wicket and deep square leg. There's Gardner in, bowls, and that's cut into the onside, and that's hit hard. That's racing along the wickets, but they settle for a single. That's fielded out at deep mid-wicket. 68 for 1. Danny Wyatt hitting the floor in frustration there. What's that all about, Alex?
Yeah, I think she thought she could have hit that harder and cleaner, and if you split those 2 fielders perfectly, it will go for 4.
Gardner in, a reverse sweep from Siva Brunt. Innovative, and that's going to race away down to the boundary. That'll be 4 runs. Fantastic batting from her. She's on 13, 72 for 1 England.
It's been so good this from England, just to take the attack to Australia, be proactive. I think that's what we didn't see in the previous game. We saw those collapses, those 3 hat-tricks in England's innings in the previous game. Well, not today. There's been some fantastic partnerships so far.
No change of field then as Gardner in, and she's hit that into the onside. Out to deep mid-wicket for a single. She's on to 14, 73 for 1. We're into the 9th over. Crucially for England, wickets in hand, which are always important in T20 cricket. And a change of field. The mid-wicket that was on the one is now at short third to Danny Wyatt. She's in off the back foot, hit hard into the onside. That's along the square. The fielder does well and palms it to her friend at deep square leg. And they come back for a couple. The crowd enjoyed that one.
Yeah, Georgia Wareham out there, full length dive, brilliant stop. Just saves the boundary, but that's the shot Danny Wyatt's looking for. Brilliant piece of fielding from Georgia Wareham.
Gardner in, off the back foot, tries to cut through the offside. They're coming through for a quick single. They make it comfortably in the end. Wyatt to 30 now off 24 balls. 76 for 1 England.
She looks frustrated, Danny Wyatt. But her strike rate's pretty decent. She'll know if she sticks around, she will settle at the crease.
Gardner, right arm over, bowls off the back foot by Nat Sciver-Brunt, worked out to deep square leg for a single. She moves to 15, 77 for 1. 9 overs gone then, England. I feel like Danny Wyatt is a player that wants boundaries though. I've played alongside her at the Vipers. She wants to take it to the bowlers, and especially when she gets that width outside the off stump. She's just frustrated with those singles.
We can see Heather Knight warming up. She's going to promote herself above Alice Capsey, do we reckon?
That's an interesting call.
I wouldn't, but she might. 100 caps for her today.
Special moment that for her, hey. She's a stalwart for England. And I feel like here, this is Alice Capsey's home ground. I feel like she's the type of player that's going to step up in this environment. She hasn't had the series she wanted, has she?
Yeah, she's a big game player, isn't she, Alice Capsey?
Talia McGrath then coming in from the pavilion end. First time we've seen her tonight. Right arm seamer. She bowled well in the test match, didn't she? Got the ball shaping in and away, but different format, different skills required. There's McGrath in bowl. She's gone for a ramp, and that's paddled hard by Sciver-Brunt. And it settles for a single. She moves to 15, 78 for 1 England.
She adjusts really well there, does Sciver-Brunt, because she's going for the paddle. As fine leg was slightly wider, but the ball angling down the leg side, she's had to shimmy it around the corner in the end. It's well adjusted.
Deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on and cover out for Danny Wyatt. As McGrath in bowls length, she gives herself room, cuts it, misfield from backward point again. And they come through for a single. Wyatt to 31, 79 for 1 England.
Disappointed with Australia's fielding today, to be completely honest. They're normally the best side in the world by a country mile, but whether or not it's because England are putting them under some pressure.
McGrath into Sciver-Brunt, slower ball, and that's played up to extra cover, will be no run. We were talking about this actually. If you look at Australia's fielding, we were watching the first T20, it was unbelievable. They save singles here, there and everywhere, and if you put the match up on a bit of paper against England's team, England obviously don't have the fielding depth that Australia have, but tonight they've not been up to standards. That down the leg side will be signalled by a wide. But Nat Sciver feels like she's missed out again there, wanting to hit onto the onside, but it really makes a difference, doesn't it, in T20 cricket?
Yeah, it does. I think when you're playing Australia, normally they save 20 runs in the field, so you get 150, but you could have had 170.
Sciver-Brunt faces up to McGrath, and she's hit that hard down the ground. Long on comes round to do the fielding, so it'll just be a single. Sciver-Brunt onto 17, 81 for 1 into the 10th over. And crucially for England, wickets in hand. Australia managing to restrict boundaries so far this over. It's McGrath in at the top of the mark again. White gives herself room, hits over the offside. There is a fielder at cover who comes round, and they're going to come back for 2. Good running from England. Danny Wyatt onto 33, 83 for 1.
You can sense her frustration, and I can see why, because Danny Wyatt normally hits that ball so cleanly. Doesn't hit it quite as clean, so that deep cover fielder is able to cut off the ball, but she's aiming up and over extra cover there.
Lush green outfield here at the Oval as McGrath in. Slower delivery, hit high over the top of mid-off. They're chasing after it. Is it going to reach the boundary rope? That could be a good bit of work, or in vain. That's 4 runs to Danny Wyatt to finish this 10th over. She's on 37 off 27. 87 for 1 England. Siva Brunt alongside her on 17. A few more thoughts from Alex Hartley. And there will be a change in the commentary box.
Wherever they are.
Maybe I'm still here, Alex.
Maybe. That's it. Whoever is in next clearly doesn't want to work with me. And I won't take any offence. Me and Phil can hold the fort.
We blame them?
No, Phil, how many wides has there been?
There's been an incredible, as far as Australia goes, you say they seem to be off the heat at the minute, don't they? They've just really got a bit 9 so far tonight.
It does feel a lot, and for that, there's obviously 9 extra runs, but 9 extra balls, so there's been an over and a half extra as Melissa Story finally decides that she wants to commentate alongside me.
Finally
Phil.
check the rotor.
How did you know that? I've been avoiding you and definitely not waiting to do a 5 Live update.
No, I just knew it was.
I knew it was
I'm the
personal.
problem. Yeah.
Let me quickly tell you, this is Danny Wyatt's highest score against Australia at home in a T20. Before tonight, she averaged 8 against Australia on home soil.
She's looking like she's almost playing with the freedom acts that we've seen her play when wearing the bright orange of the Southern Vipers, and often so many teams before playing the Vipers go. Danny Wyatt, she's in good form. We've got together early, otherwise here she is, 37 not out.
81% of her runs have been scored through the offside. She likes to give herself room. She likes to slash the ball through the covers, up and over extra cover. But 81 runs, that's a lot. And Australia, they have to recognise that, and you have to try and cramp her for room. But no, she looks to be playing with a bit more freedom. There's a sense of frustration there for her. You can tell that when she's not quite connecting with the ball, she's rolling her eyes and she's replaying the shot, but she carries on. You know, she's going to get a quick fire 50, which will obviously help England moving forward.
And a field we so often see from Australia towards the end of the innings, from their seamers in particular, is they have all their fielders up on the offside and they have 4 deep on the leg side. Do you think a field like this would suit Danny Wyatt, or would she just have the confidence to step away and smoke it over the offside?
Definitely got the confidence to step away, give herself room. As a bowler, I'm always looking to cramp Wyatt up for room and get her to hit into the leg side, but also with that deep cover, I always have them slightly straighter because she plays up and over extra cover. I know it's different as a spinner, but I would always go mid-on, mid-off back, extra cover and mid-wicket, and get her playing straight down the ground because I want her to sweep, I want her to lap, because it's not a strength of hers.
Well, the drinks break has concluded. The players back in their positions, and Darcy Brown is going to be coming back to bowl her 4th over of the game. A similar tactic to what we saw employed last Saturday at Edgbaston, where Australia rely on their spinners a bit more in the later stages and prefer to use Brown up a bit earlier on. She's bowling to Siva Brunt over the wicket. It's full and slapped past the outstretched left hand of Brown, parried by mid-off and just kept inside the boundary rope by the fielder at mid-on. A bit of teamwork there from the Australians, and in the end England just come out of that one with a single. There were so many ifs and buts there. Brown could have stopped the ball in her follow-through, although it would have been a bit tricky.
The great diving stop from Elise Perry, who parries the ball to mid-on.
Got a deep cover, deep third, fine leg and deep square on the boundary as Brown bowls full again, and just dabbing this one into the onside is Wyatt. She was looking to play almost a pull shot and realised the ball was a bit too full, and Brown just eagerly jogs to the top of her mark with that youthful joy which still remains when you're so early on in your career as she is. Do you still run to the top of your marks? You're so keen.
No.
To bowl?
No. Run away from cricket at the minute.
Brown, shorter ball slapped away straight to the fielder at deep square. And a powerful throw in from the deep means that just a single is taken. England's score moves on to 90 for 1, halfway through this 11th over. See, I tend to run to the top of my mark, but usually out of fear.
Fear of what?
The umpires. Don't want them to tell me to hurry up.
Okay, interesting.
They're quite scary. I've got a lot of respect for people in positions of authority. I'm not a rule breaker, Alex. Brown, full and inside edge for 4. Wyatt gets lucky there. Really, the first bit of doubt she's shown in this innings, and Healy with her hands on her head. There was nothing she could do behind the stumps. And that percentage of shots played on the offside by Danny Wyatt will just go down a little bit. And how close was that to the stumps, Alex?
Honestly, 9 times out of 10 that's clattering the stumps and you feel unlucky. Well, today, Danny Wyatt, go and put the lottery on, because the thick inside edge just misses the stumps by the smallest tiny bit.
Brown, shorter ball, just almost leaning backwards out of that one was Wyatt in the end. Don't often see that from Wyatt or in the T20 format, but that bit of extra pace which Brown has got, just hurrying her up a bit there. And England 94 for 1.
England will know as well that this is Darcy Brown's last over. So a huge moment for her to be bowled out so early on in this innings.
She runs away from us. Bowls to Wyatt, it's pulled in the air, into the gap. Fielders running in from fine leg, square leg, converge, and England sneak through for 2 runs. Danny Wyatt just showing a few nerves in that over. But Darcy Brown, her 4 overs completed, 1 for 31, and England 96 for 1 after 11 overs. And I'm not sure if we've spoken so far about projected kind of totals, but of course the surface renowned for being a good batting pitch, and we were saying before the game that maybe England were just 10 runs or so short in the first T20. What kind of total do you think?
I think they've definitely got to try and double it from here, haven't they? They've got to try and, especially only being 1 down, carry on at this momentum and then accelerate in the last few overs. They 190 is on here for England.
Do you think we're going to see any changes to the England batting lineup as well? Because, of course, have a few options of potential pinch hitters as Gardner's bowling. It's pulled out into the onside and could beat the fielder here, and it does. Perfectly placed by Nat Sciver-Brunt. Brings up the 100 for England. Just the 1 wicket down. So they have the luxury of those wickets in hand. They're going along nicely here. Run rate just under 9.
That's pure timing from Sciver-Brunt on the back foot. Dissects those fielders perfectly.
As Gardner bowls this time. Aerial down the ground. Chance for long on. Taken. Sciver-Brunt goes. After getting that boundary the previous ball, she takes the bait of Gardner. Bit more flight in that delivery. Straight into the hands of long on. After just saying England have the luxury of wickets in hand, they've lost their second one now. 101 for 2, the score.
Just looking for a similar area there. Sciver-Brunt slightly fuller from Ash Gardner. She couldn't get underneath it enough, looking to go that mid-wicket, mid-on region. Just hits the ball straight to mid-on. A good innings for Sciver-Brunt though. 23 off 18 balls.
It felt almost like a similar kind of innings to Edgbaston, where she albeit got a few less runs, she scored 7 in that game, but Alyssa Healy moved the mid-wicket more into conventional cow corner, got them a bit straighter, and it was a similar kind of thing. It was boundary then out, and you're going...
Just hit straight to the fielder, yeah.
You've got your boundary, not necessarily for the over, because I feel like this England team don't subscribe to this idea of just hit 1 boundary for the over and knock the rest about. They want to be searching for those boundaries, but similar to the England men's team of just realising when you're on top and applying the necessary pressure.
Yeah, just although I know that she'll have got off, and head coach John Lewis has said, "Oh, that's all right, just hit it harder at 6." You know, and that's the mentality these girls have got now.
And we know she can hit it harder, because we saw some wonderful power hitting last year in the 100 eliminator from Nat Sciver-Brunt, where she hit 3 sixes in a row. Alice Capsey, the new batter, in the middle at her home ground, facing Gardner. She's pushing back to the bowler with a straight bat, and it's a dot ball to begin. Alice Capsey, of course, getting out in an unusual dismissal in the last T20, where she rather clumsily strayed out of her crease, and it was given not out and then given out. Gardner bowling to Capsey, reverse sweep, beats the fielder in the ring, down to the boundary for 4. And that's the confidence of Alice Capsey we've got so accustomed to seeing. She's got a big grin on her face. She loves playing at this ground. She'll just want to keep building this partnership up with Danny Wyatt. England move on to 104 for 2.
Just love how confident she is.
As Gardner In again and working this one off her pads. Finds the fielder at short mid-wicket, but again parried to the fielder running in from long on. Single taken. And the perfect almost illustration of getting that boundary, then getting that single. And of course, with the new batter incoming, you won't want Danni Wyatt to suddenly be stuck at the non-striker's end when she's going along so nicely. She's 44 from 31 balls. As Gardner jumps into the crease, full edged.
And again.
And there's a chance of another boundary hit. Danni Wyatt, in quite unusual circumstances, has started her innings probably better, and I'm not sure she's found the middle of her bat in these last 3 overs, but she's still somehow finding the boundary rope. 109 for 2 now, England, after 12.
Shakes her head with a grin on her face, and honestly, she is riding her luck today, is Danni Wyatt. That one, thick outside edge, races down to the boundary for 4. But England won't mind, she's got to take them as they come. This Australia side, they're an incredible, strong side. And today could be the start of something special for England if they're to stay in this Ashes campaign.
She's certainly having good luck. I mean, think of all the bad luck omens there is of seeing a black cat or walking under a ladder. Danni Wyatt can go walk under every single ladder in London if she wants and go say hello to every single black cat in the area.
And stand on 3 grids in a row. Go do what you want. Tonight is yours, Wyatt.
I saw something recently which apparently must be a London thing, of walking between signposts. You know the little gaps sometimes between signposts?
I always do that. I see if
apparently
I can fit.
A lot of people avoid it here in London. I've never heard of that before. New bowler as Capsey hammers the ball to mid-on. Annabelle Sutherland back into the attack.
Yeah, one of my toxic traits is thinking I can fit through any gap, no matter how small. And as I've got older and older, you can't really, can you?
I've got a dog flap at home if you want to try it out.
I've done that before. I have done a dog flap.
Sutherland, shorter ball, skied in the air. Alyssa Healy running backwards, takes the catch. And Alice Capsey goes, charging down the wicket. Sutherland, after 2 quite innocuous first 2 overs, has picked up a key wicket. And as we've seen often before here with England, they're looking good, they're doing well, and then this flurry of wickets falls and we start to see this Australian team, which we're used to seeing.
Yeah, you know, once they open the door, they all climb in, don't they, the Australians? And it's the short ball again for England. It got Dunkley, it's now got Alice Capsey. And whether or not it's a little weakness in the England side, I'm not sure, but the bouncer from Annabelle Sutherland, Capsey looking to take it on, which I don't mind, but a top edge, and Alyssa Healy takes the catch. I have seen Healy drop those before, 2 in a game, but it was back in 2017, so I'm sure she's worked on those ones.
There certainly seems to be something about these 2 Ashes series this summer and shorter pitch deliveries, which is causing absolute havoc. You almost want to take the England teams to one of those trampoline parks and hammer the ball in there and just say, just duck. New batter in the middle is Captain Heather Knight, who made pretty important 29 in the previous game. Phil?
100th appearance tonight for Heather Knight in T20 internationals. She's the 26th player to do so, the 5th for England.
Special night for Heather Knight. Hey, double night.
She'll be facing Sutherland. Oh, it's Boulder! First ball! And Sutherland is on a roll here. Australia just turning around their performance. And England, from a position of strength, they've slipped down to 109 for 4. It's a good delivery, hits the top of off. Alex has done too much.
It's done nothing. It's a cross-seam delivery from Annabelle Sutherland, and it just pitches on off stump and hits the top of off stump. Captain Heather Knight, her 100th appearance. She goes for a golden duck. England, they were in control of this game. They had it, and now they find themselves 4 down in quick succession. Annabelle Sutherland, she's on a hat-trick.
Well, from being 100 for 2 when Nat Sciver-Brunt was out, England now 109 for 4. Those always seem to happen on players' big kind of landmark games. You talk it up and you say that It's 100 T20 performances, which of course is brilliant achievement, but just playing the wrong line for that delivery from Sutherland. She's happy with it. Just showing the value of her to this Australian team, because she's a player whose bowling, I guess, can be overlooked a bit, but she bowls at a good pace, you know, can push up to 70.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it didn't do anything. It was just a straight ball. I was looking at Alex Blackwell for confirmation that I'm not seeing things. She has just missed a straight delivery, unfortunately, there.
Well, Amy Jones comes into the middle for a hat-trick ball. Annabelle Sutherland bowling to her. Full delivery kept out by Jones. Drives the ball to mid-off. And it seems again that England are relying on a bit of a special innings from Amy Jones, who hit 40 off 21 balls, or 40 not out in the last game. Bit of a different position here, though, as England have plenty of overs left in the game. Sutherland to Jones, beaten. Ball soaring past that outside edge.
This is where Australia are dangerous. This is where they're a really dangerous side, because they've taken quick wickets and they're used to being in these situations. They've been in these situations time and time again. They know when they're on top of a team how to react, how to be proactive. And I fear here for England, if they lose one more, could be game over.
Sutherland into Jones outside the off stump, slapped aerial for a moment, but in the gap between the fielders, finds the deep cover sweeper, and single is taken. 110 for 4, just the one run off that over from Sutherland, but two crucial wickets for Australia. It's so difficult, because even in the last game, Australia didn't look their best, and there was a few misfields, and it started a similar fashion today. A few misfields, a dropped catch from Talia McGrath, which comes around once in a rare moon, but you know, they have an ability, it always feels like at the drinks breaks, to just say, should we start being good again? Yeah, we gave them a chance.
We've given them a chance. Shall we go back to the team that we all know? And I wonder if they get bored of winning, so they like to give teams a chance.
Well, I once umpired an incredibly fun, friendly game where all the players in my men's cricket team picked out almost a job they had to do, or a dare they had to do, where you either had to play a reverse sweep on the first ball, or one of them quite brilliantly had to headbutt the first delivery he faced.
Right.
So I'm not sure whether Australia have a similar kind of system of...
Yeah.
Not that I want to suggest match fixing, but...
Let's just bowl a bad over.
Who can bowl the worst over in the game? Let's have a game.
They are a ridiculous side, but these two, Jones and Wyatt, can build a partnership here. England still have a very, very healthy run rate, so as long as England don't keep losing consistent wickets, this is still very much game on.
Well, Amy Jones is going to be on strike as McGrath, who went for 10 off her first over, is back into the attack. She's bowling to Jones, who's flicking it off her pads over the head of mid-wicket, and two fielders converge on the boundary to cut off the ball. 2 runs taken, and Jones, who scores a lot of runs through that shot, but also can be quite vulnerable. She picks up the length quickly off her pads, but we've seen her on a few occasions before. She can offer a bit of catching practice to mid-wicket. She picked up 2 runs there. McGrath to Jones again, this time swung in the air, chance for long on. What a catch! Diving full length forwards. Annabelle Sutherland, the 2 wickets in the previous over wasn't enough for her. She's pulled off a spectacular catch in the deep, and Jones, just as we were saying, she can be prone to chipping the ball up. She doesn't quite commit to that shot either way, Alex. She gets stuck in between, going for that big 6 and trying to clear the inner ring. I mean, you said after the dismissal of Nat Silver-Brunt that John Lewis would probably say to her, well done, good intent. Do you think he's still going to be saying this to the English batters going back to the pavilion?
I think now it's read the room, isn't it? Now it's build partnerships, but can't take anything away from Sutherland there. That is an outrageous grab. Somebody keep her out of the game. I mean, 2 wickets in the previous over and then a specky catch. Actually really, really clever from Sutherland and Healy. Amy Jones comes to the crease. Sutherland at mid-on comes 10 yards wider. She's basically at cow corner. So therefore, Amy Jones is thinking she can flick the ball into mid-wicket and be safe, but that mid-on's wider, so she's actually been caught at cow corner there.
England 112 for 5. Phil?
They were 100 for 1. They've lost 4 for 12 in 13 deliveries.
Can I just say as well, if they've lost 4 for 12, then that's my current bowling figures as a commentator, because for any Australian fans listening, you're welcome. In comes McGrath, down the leg side, sweeps and fine short, fine leg. Unlucky there was Danny Gibson, the new batter out in the middle, playing just her second game for England.
Did you say 4 for 12 in 13 deliveries? Wow.
McGrath turns at the top of her mark as Gibson eagerly awaits a full delivery. She drives it firmly straight to mid-off and managed to scamper through for a single.
It's her first international run for Danny Gibson, made a debut in the previous game, but got a duck.
And of course, still anticipating her first wicket, hopefully, in the next innings for England perspective.
And whilst all that carnage was going on, Danny Wyatt was at the other end, faced just one of those deliveries.
McGrath to Wyatt on 48. She drives uppish and bounces just short of mid-off. And the one thing we said, Alex, was that England had to make sure Danny Wyatt wasn't starved of strike, and it's exactly what's happened. And being in there for such a long time, it's almost deprives you of that fluency which she was building up in her innings prior to that collapse, as she chips that one past McGrath. Doesn't quite time it, but gets the ball to long on and will pick up a single. She'll retain the strike in the next over. Poised on 49. England 114 for 5. Alex Hartley leaves us for the time being and will be rejoined by 5-time World Cup winner Alex Blackwell in just a second. Of course, a brilliant crowd in to watch this game today at the Oval, competing with the crowd at Edgbaston. Brilliant to see so many people getting behind this Women's Ashes series. Alex, you must be a little bit happier than last time you were here in the commentary box.
Look, I, of course, enjoy seeing Australia do well, but I'd love to see this Ashes go right down to the last match. 7-match series, 3 formats. If England lose today, Australia are taking home those Ashes. They've wrapped them up. They haven't yet won them, but they would have retained them as a minimum. So I'd like to see a really special contest. And, you know, they're going at a pretty good rate, England. They've lost 4 quick wickets, but they are still going to go hard, and they could put on a total which could trouble Australia.
Danny Wyatt's on 49, and Elise Perry has been brought into the attack for the first time in this T20s. It's a shorter ball first up, which Wyatt attempts to almost guide over the keeper. She misses out, and it's a dot ball. Why do you think, Alex, so far that Perry wasn't used in the previous T20, and why have they brought her on now?
Potentially they feel it's a good matchup to Danny Wyatt, someone who has pretty good control, can bowl sort of that hard length. They've got fielders, deep third, deep fine, and 2 on the leg side. So nice tight lines into the wicket.
Perry, shorter ball pulled in the air, out to the onside, finds the gap, 4 runs, and a Danny Wyatt half-century. She moves on to 53, raises her bat to the Oval crowd. But it's a slightly muted celebration because Danny Wyatt here recognising that she has a big role to play in these remaining overs for England. 53 off 36 balls, 8 fours. Made good contact with that shorter ball from Perry.
Well, she's so dangerous. Australia will not feel like they're right on top until they get Danny Wyatt out.
As Perry gallops in, full ball squeezed out by Wyatt, down to deep third. She runs the first one hard, but settles on just the single. Score moves on to 119 for 5. I mean, an element as well of bringing on Perry potentially is she can bowl that quicker pace and can bowl that shorter delivery, but also I guess when she can bowl a bit fuller, she can be quite skiddy.
Well, we saw Georgia Wareham, the leggy, have a bowl in the first T20, and she went for 11s in her first 2 overs. So perhaps they just feel like pace is the better way to go tonight on this particular pitch.
As Perry to Gibson, pulling at that one, and the ball just coasting over the top of those bails. The facial expression there from Alyssa Healy was almost a bit of a oof. I think she was quite surprised there that the ball didn't clatter into the stumps.
Great pace here from Perry. I mean, she's someone who the captain can call upon if there's a real pressure moment, and I think you want to keep her in the game. You want to keep her bowling if you can, but they've got so many to call on.
Perry on the pads again of Gibson, who's looking to play with a cross bat and get that easy single on the onside, but it's not quite the right length here. And Gibson's been a brilliant player for the London Spirit recently, showed a good season in the 100, and it's a hard-hitting middle-order batter for the Western Storm, but of course just in her second international game she's in a high-pressure situation here. She knows her role is to support Danny Wyatt, but then there's that individual pressure of just wanting to get off the strike. As Perry's in, final ball of this over. It's a shorter ball and it's tennis swatted straight into the hands of mid-off. Danny Gibson, goes in a similar fashion to her first innings, looking to play that cross-batted swat. The ball got high on her from Perry. A brilliant over for Australia, just the 5 runs conceded from it. And England now just crumbling a bit here to the Australian pressure. Alex, it's going to be a tough uphill battle here for them now. A few more thoughts from you as Danny Gibson makes her way off the pitch, and then it'll be Henry Moran.
Yeah, the short ball coming into great effect for the Australians. It's a good wicket, it's fast, it's bouncy. We've not seen a lot of spin. We've seen the Australians go to their frontline pace bowlers. We now see Megan Shute coming into the attack again, but Perry in her first over of the T20s in this Ashes series, she gets a wicket.
It's been like watching Jenga at the back of the room there. It's unbelievable. England were flying. What's the collapse been? They were 109 for 3. No, go on. They were 100 for 1, weren't they?
Yes, they've lost 5 for 19 in 23 balls.
Oh, blimey. Well, there we go. They were going along so nicely as well. Reminder, Australia, if they win this game, guarantee retaining the Ashes. They will win them outright if they win this game and the next. England have to win if they want a chance to lift that trophy for the first time since 2014. Big 5 overs required. The run rate's fine. It's that wickets column that's the issue. A lot rests on the shoulders of Danny Wyatt, who's there on 54, and she sends Megan Shute back because somebody in a red bib at the far end of the ground has just moved, and Wyatt understandably was distracted.
Well, I wasn't sure if it was actually the batter or the keeper in Healy backing off here, getting distracted. Of course, the key stumps and the batter, they have a similar challenge if someone's walking in front of the sight screen.
It's Lydia Greenway.
Was it really?
It wasn't.
Come on, sit down.
Lids. Shute bowling to Wyatt, who chases a wide delivery. Oh, somehow pierces the gap and gets 4. They heard the cries of catch it because 2 fielders were in quite close attendance at backward point, but Wyatt somehow manages to free her arms and picks up a boundary. England 1, 2, 3 for 6.
Well, we saw, while the ball didn't go near Grace Harris, she was really wrong-footed there. I think the Australians on a couple of occasions have really not been able to pick up the ball coming out of this very strong crowd at the Oval. We see Megan Shute overstepping there, so there'll be a free hit now for Danny Wyatt. I think she'll just back away and slap the ball over point. That's what I'm backing.
Is that what you're going for? Right, free hit, so she can't be dismissed bar a run out. She does give herself room. Oh, 10 out of 10 to you, Alex Blackwell. Well played, you. Danny Wyatt picks up 4 more with the free hit. You called it, you saw it. That's exactly where it went.
Oh, she's very typical in that strength over the offside, and because the bowler can't change her field, there's no one back there at Danny Wyatt's favourite area, so she was always going to go there.
Field doesn't actually change here. One of those back points actually gone a little bit finer, Grace Harris. So will Wyatt try and repeat the trick? No, it's very leg sider. She hammers it for 4 more behind square on the leg side. Massive over for England. And from 2 legitimate deliveries, England have picked up 12 runs. It's 132 for 6. Much needed reinforcements in the run department for England, because it was all tumbling away in rather ugly fashion, but they are fighting back.
Well, the field didn't change, but what Megan Schutt did, she came wider of the crease and angled the ball into Danny Wyatt. This is a batter who is forcing the bowlers to do something different because she moves around the crease. She's on fire at the moment, and she's on 66 at the moment, doing a fantastic job for her team and just causing havoc for the Australian bowlers.
Clickety clicks for Danny Wyatt as in comes Schutt bowling a fuller ball. This is threaded away again, and it's 4 more. Grace Harris tumbled rather like a toddler at a play school. She just fell over, didn't stop it, and it's another boundary, 136 for 6.
Well, I mentioned that she was wrong-footed, Grace Harris, at that third man on the circle, guiding the ball. Danny Wyatt opening the face. And this ground is lightning fast.
Well, Schutt is having a massive sense of humour failure, and I'm not that surprised. Big over for England. Wyatt this time tries to run the ball towards short third, doesn't know where it's gone, and it suddenly appears by her left foot. So a dot ball, England 136 for 6. So
we've seen Schutt. She came over the wicket, went wider of the crease to try and cramp Wyatt. That wasn't successful, so she's come around the wicket, trying to almost bowl at Wyatt's hip to try not to allow any deliveries to go through the offside. Somehow Wyatt finds a way, though.
Here comes Schutt around the wicket, bowling to Wyatt, who jams that ball into the ground. This time it's stopped by Jonathan. Throw comes in at the non-striker's end. Wyatt was ball watching and does get through for a single, so 1 more onto the total. The over's worth 70, it's worth 18 actually.
So that ball's almost pitching outside leg, and Wyatt gets the Yorker, outside leg, chops it down, still gets it to point or third. So, yeah, just remarkable the way she can manipulate. Eccleston, probably more traditional in the places she'll hit. 2 fielders down the ground and 2 on the leg side. Schutt coming back over the wicket.
She's a more than capable batter, is Sophie Eccleston. Did a really good job for the Sydney Sixers during the Women's Big Bash League over the winter. And she's on strike now. In comes Schutt bowling to Eccleston. Down the leg side, missed by Healy up to the stumps. Wide signal, 5 onto the total.
Really tough one there for Healy. Of course, recovering still from 2 fractured fingers, 1 in each hand. That one down the leg side, tough one for her. She probably would back herself to stop this more often than not. The leg cutter just pushed it down the leg. 5 wides.
Always tough for a keeper standing up to the stumps, that's the thing. So, massive over for England. Final ball of it, in theory, and Eccleston will whip the ball off the pads, pushing hard for the first. She isn't the quickest. There should be 2 there. There have to be 2 there. The throw comes in. Eccleston running through treacle, but gets there. 16 overs gone. That over was massive. Phil Long, how massive?
Very massive, 25.
Woof, 25. Oh, you can't argue with that. From England's point of view, that is a massive recovery.
Schutt usually so good with the leg cutters, but to me it looks like Wyatt has a plan to that. She's setting herself for it, and you need to go into the game understanding what's the biggest threat against any particular bowler. And these leg cutters against Wyatt from Megan Schutt, just they've got nothing.
Right then, where's this field going to go? We've got a deep cover, deep mid-wicket. Deep back with square leg is also deep wide third, shielding their eyes from the sun in front of the Galladari stand over at the far end. The ground is pretty much full. There's a few patches of empty seats, but it's a big crowd in. As in comes Sutherland to bowl to Wyatt, who whips the ball into the leg side. Not perfectly timed, just the one, out towards deep mid-wicket. Now, you mentioned, what was it, 14 years ago, 163 Australia scored, and it wasn't enough.
It was not enough.
It's a different game nowadays. Power hitting is much more prominent. So, while this is a decent total for England already, they do have to get, I think, pushing 180 at least, myself.
Yeah.
In comes Sutherland, bowling to Eccleston, who chips the ball into space at mid-wicket, pushing hard for the first run, turning for a second that isn't there.
That's doable as well with these 2 batters, with Wyatt, 72 not out. Yeah, 163 wasn't enough in 2009. Yes, they're hitting the ball further, Henry, but also they could have 5 fielders out back then. Just
yes.
A little trivia question.
Here comes Sutherland bowling to Wyatt. This has been skewed in the air. Can a fielder get underneath it? It's going to be the ball winning the race, I think. It does. Yeah, it's 4. Georgia Wareham had quite a lot of ground to make up from that deep wide third position I spoke about, and the uppercut from Wyatt almost went for 6. 150 up for England, 150 for 6.
So hard to defend these areas that Wyatt is hitting. Keeps the bat face open, backs away, and just guides it down there to third. There's a deep backward point and a short third on the circle finer.
Sutherland bowling to Wyatt, back of a length. It's slashed aerially again. Can the fielder get there this time? The catch is taken. Wyatt goes. A fine knock of 76 comes to an end. She looks really despondent, but she has played really well for England. Got more than half of the runs scored so far this evening. England 150 for 7, and the Oval rises to applaud a fine knock from England's opener.
Terrific knock. We've seen it so often. It's often been against the Australians as well. She seems to enjoy scoring runs in Ashes contests. The crowd responds. This has been a terrific knock. Australia needed to see the back of Danny Wyatt to feel like they can contain England. Still a pretty strong total after just 16 overs, so England, they'll need to bat with a flurry these last few wickets.
They can't afford to be all out. That's an absolute no-no. They've got to bat the overs. I wouldn't mind seeing a little more of Sophie Eccleston on strike from England's point of view, just because she's the sort of player that when she gets in can hit the ball a long way. It was slashed by Wyatt towards Wareham, who had just had to chase in vain round that offside, couldn't get there. This time takes the catch.
76 runs off 46 balls, 13 fours.
Lovely. Thank you, Phil. Sarah Glenn then to the middle in the short sleeves, in the sunshine. Waits for Sutherland. It's a full delivery, which is hit away for 4 first ball. That's nicely played. England's number 9 managing to find the angle past backward point and short third. And England 154 for 7, so they've surpassed the score they made at Edgbaston on Saturday night.
Well, I've heard really good things about Sarah Glenn's batting. Of course, she's an outstanding leg spin bowler, high in the world rankings for T20 bowling, but I do understand she can hit the ball a long way as well. I think England will just keep going hard here.
Glenn on strike as Sutherland is in. Ooh, slower ball, completely foxes Sarah Glenn. And the ball actually not far from bouncing into the stumps, but the over comes to an end. Sutherland finishes 4 overs, 3 for 28. And with 3 overs left of England's innings, the score 154 for 7. It's been an innings of phases, I think it's fair to say. Good opening stand. And then England lost wickets in a flurry. What was it, 4 for 12? And then Danny Wyatt with that big over of 25. And now can England, as they did the other night, can they finish with a bit of a flourish? Here comes Jess Jonathan. How many bowlers have we seen tonight, Phil?
No, we said when there's a quiz, you forget about certain people. Jess Jonathan was one of them. Here she is coming on in the 17th over.
Jonathan bowling to Eccleston. Fellow left-hander. There's 1 there. Glenn's pushing for that first. I don't think there'll be a second. No. Deep mid-wicket runs in to pick up. So how many bowlers have they used tonight, Australia?
Yeah, so Darcy Brown and Megan Schutt opened up. Sutherland's got through 4 overs. Gardner's got through 3. And Talia McGrath as well. And Elise Perry. They're all there.
So we're up to 7
yeah.
now with Jonathan. In comes Jess Jonathan then, bowling to Glenn, who drives crisply. Oh, mix-up trouble for Eccleston. Oh, gets home just.
Well, we had Jono. She missed one at Edgbaston at the stumps, just went straight through her hands. She was able to collect that ball thrown by Talia McGrath, and they're just going upstairs to see if Eccleston got back into the crease. Pretty sharp bit of fielding there from Talia McGrath.
Eccleston, she's not in the frame yet. Throw comes in, could be trouble. I think she could be gone here. Oh, it's so tight. Oh, good luck upstairs, Sue Redfern. We'll have a look here. It is...
Light up, please. So take that through for me.
I think she's just home.
Yes, please. Can you zoom in on that for me?
Is
Try to
she?
shot, thanks.
There's a blade of grass in this.
and pause when the bails light up.
It's a very thin white line as well.
Okay, do you
Often
have...
we see a thicker
I just
painted
need to
line
see
on
if
the
there's any
crease
part
there.
of that bat over the line. Do you have a stump cam view for me, please?
Right then,
And
here.
a split screen.
Stump cam, split screen.
All
So
eyes
I've
on
got no
Sue
view on
Redfern
stump
here,
cam.
third umpire.
Copy that.
No view on
Okay,
stump cam.
thank you very much. Can you zoom in any more on that side angle, or can we go reverse? Thank you.
Okay, it's tight, very close this. She's got a decision to make here, Sue Redfern.
Thank you very much.
I mean, obviously, but which way is she going to go?
Stand
Well,
by,
it's
just
difficult,
waiting
isn't it?
for
Because the
split
zing
screen.
bails allow the lights to light up as soon as one edge of the bail is broken. But do you have to wait till the whole bail is dislodged?
I thought you did, but they don't these
They
days.
don't really. Because you can't be sure that bail's actually going to come out of its grooves.
Here we go, here's
Thank
the
you.
split screen.
Thank you very much, Director.
That tells us absolutely
Yeah.
nothing, really. I think she's going to be out
I
here.
think she's going to be out.
Oh, it's so close. It is
Yeah,
millimetres.
I can't see from that angle if there's any of the crease broken.
And this is all on the third umpire. On-field umpires don't
Here
have
we
a soft
go.
call.
Here's the front-on view, which is absolutely...
Yeah, that's giving me nothing. Can you go back to the both side screens,
She's
please?
so
for me,
honest, though,
Director,
isn't she?
please?
I mean, fair enough, Sue. It's giving me absolutely nothing.
So can she throw it back to the on-field umpires here? No evidence either way.
Well, if there's no evidence, you don't get
I
a...
need to speak to
It's
Director,
that
so-
close that
Yeah.
I'm not sure
So just
she
play that
can
through
make a
for me,
call.
one frame at a time, please.
I'm not sure she can
And
make
then
a call.
Pause for me.
I think it's...
And one frame and pause. Yeah, I have no evidence to suggest that that's not grounded. I'm ready to make my decision.
I don't understand. Here we go. What's it going to be? This is like watching the last round of the X Factor, this.
This is where it goes benefit of doubt to the batter.
Well, we're about to find out. Here we go. Big screen tells us... Not out. I feel like I've aged several years.
What's the record?
That's because you
Decision
have,
time.
Henry, yeah. 3.5 years.
But fair enough. I mean,
was
there was
really-
no evidence either way. So I feel like she's suggested there's no evidence to say she's short of her ground. So I'm going to give it to the batter.
Jonathan bowls to Glenn, who works the ball into the leg side for one, out towards deep back with square leg. A single is taken. England 1-5-6 for 7. I wouldn't want to be in the world of stand-up performing in front of Sue Redfern. If she sort of stood up, that is giving me nothing.
Yeah.
She's quite sort of brutal. Eccleston whips the ball into the leg side, but there is a fielder at deep mid wicket having to carefully watch the bounce. Ash Gardner's throw comes in. It's missed by Jonathan, but backing up. McGrath will prevent any overthrows.
So she didn't do the handball back to the on-field umpires.
No. But then what could they have said?
Not out.
That's nicely played. It's going to be 4. Step across the stumps from Sarah Glenn, clearing the fielder Darcy Brown at short fine leg. And a boundary with a ball left of the 18th over. England 1-6-1 for 7. He just took that little step into the offside and said, thank you very much. I see that fine leg fielder's up inside the circle, and I'm more than happy to try and loft it away for a boundary. Here comes Jonathan to conclude the over, and she targets the leg side again, but it's missed everything and it gone through for more runs down to the boundary, and it is signalled as byes, so not deemed wide enough for 5 runs, but it is 4 runs, so back-to-back scores of 4 to conclude the 18th, and England 1-6-5 for 7. Now, how many times has Healy up to the stumps missed it? I think she's got actually quite unlucky, because there have been some really awkward ones for her too.
Yeah, I wonder how those fractured fingers are affecting her. Often she would get this one. I mean, that it hit nothing, and usually you'd expect her to take that. I think you're going to get your 180, Henry.
Yeah, a couple of wides have slipped away from 5 wides, and those 4 byes there, so she's kind of missed 3 that have counted for her.
Righto. And she has been standing up to the seamers, in fairness, as well, so it's, it is that added challenge. Here comes McGrath then, bowling to Eccleston, taps the ball out to deep mid-wicket, pushing for 1. It'll just be 1. Gardner in a small pocket of sunshine over to our right in front of the Tennyson School, will pick up.
This is now England's highest score at home against Australia, beating that semi-final back in 2009.
Right. This is a ground with high scoring. Let's not forget that. McGrath bowls a swinging delivery, which is just chipped down the ground by Sarah Glenn. And she'll pick up one, only the one though, because Elise Perry bounds round to collect.
Took all the pace off that, Talia McGrath, so I think she's going to those back-of-the-hand slower deliveries. She's got plenty of protection on the leg side for the heave-ho.
McGrath trundles in again, another slower ball, and Eccleston looking to try and tickle it down to vacant fine leg. Gets just a little too much on it, and she looks up in frustration because that was a bit of a freebie that she's missed out on.
A bit challenging here for Eccleston. She's got the sunlight coming through the helmet grill, but then the shadows on the pitch.
McGrath bowling a very slow delivery, which has been hit into the leg side. Running round is Gardner. She can't stop it. One bounce four. Eccleston almost had time to read War and Peace by the time that ball eventually got to her, and then deposited it into the leg side. 171 for 7.
Yeah, Eccleston setting herself up for the slower delivery right out of the back of the hand. Seemed completely upright. Almost played it like a spinner in the end.
So McGrath to Eccleston, who's waiting and going big into the leg side again. Has this got the distance? I'm not sure. Yes, it does. 6 runs for Eccleston. England finding their groove towards the back end of this innings.
And the crowd's right behind them. And the crowd's going to make a big difference. They'll understand the context of this game. England must win to keep their Ashes hopes alive. And Eccleston doing her best to take momentum into the bowling effort.
Yeah, over the ropes and 6 at deep mid-wicket. 177 for 7. The last 23 balls have seen 58 runs and a run rate of over 15. Here comes McGrath bowling to Eccleston, who once again goes hard into the leg side. 4 more! It's a slot delivery and it gets punished by Sophie Eccleston. And score 181 for 7. 1 over left. How many can England muster? This reminds me a little bit of the first game of the Women's Ashes of 2022, Alex, where England got a big first innings total. And there was a general feeling of, well, hello, what's this going to look like? But in the end, Australia, thanks to Talia McGrath, chased it down with remarkable ease. 170 was the target that day, and they got their 1 wicket down. So as encouraging as this has been for England, let's not forget that this Australian side have only lost once in 3 years for good reason.
But it means that England, as I mentioned earlier, caution to the wind. They know they have to get up to that sort of 190 to potentially threaten Australia. It's been a fantastic effort here with that massive collapse in the middle order.
Ash Gardner to bowl the final over of the innings, and forward comes Glenn, hits the ball aerially. Oh, that's a good catch. Diving to her right, that's an excellent grab to see another wicket fall. And it's Darcy Brown, the youngster, who dived to her right to take the catch off Sarah Glenn at short third. And England 182 for 8.
Nice little cameo there from Sarah Glenn. And another good catch from Australia. This is a bit more like it. We've seen 2 fantastic grabs tonight. One from Annabelle Sutherland, and now Darcy Brown diving full stretch, taking it two-handed though.
Well, Charlie Dean joins the action, making her first appearance of this Ashes series. She's a regular in the England side during the winter of last year in the World Cup squad and the Ashes squad, and she's more than capable with the bat. Coming in at 10 though in this England side, more of a touch player than a power player, you'd say. So possibly the order of the day will be to get 1 and get Eccleston on strike. England 181 for 8. Charlie Dean just marking a guard. I don't need to say she's a right-hander because everyone's a right-hander in this team. In comes Gardner, bowling to Dean, who does tap the ball into the leg side, looking for possibly 2. I think 1 would be more advisable from England's perspective, and they do stick with a single. Good evening to Benedict, driving up to Leeds for the men's test match tomorrow. just past Droitwich on the route up. Lovely to have you with us. 182 for 8. The Ashes cricket doesn't stop. 10:25 tomorrow morning. Live from Headingley. In comes Gardner, bowling to Eccleston. Big appeal for LBW. I heard 2 noises there, I think. But immediately, Alyssa Healy has asked for that one to go upstairs. This has been a good over so far. At worst, it'll be a dot ball. It could be a wicket. 182 for 8.
A player review for LBW. On-field decision is given not out. I've checked the front foot. It's a fair delivery. Can we go front on, please?
Go on, Sue. What have we got this time? Here we go. Looks a bit leg-side-ish first up. Ooh.
Yeah, ball is passing close to bat. I'd like to check with the ultra edge, please.
I don't think there's any bat.
Copy that. Waiting for ultra edge, thank you.
Hawkeye's going to give us something here. I think it's going to push past leg stump.
Thank you.
Here comes ultra edge.
Play it through for me.
Well, the noise is bat on ground.
Bat is grounded at that point. Clear gap between bat and ball. Play all the way through for me. Clear gap, all the way through. Satisfied there is no bat involved. Let's go to ball tracking, please.
Well, all of the Australian fielders have returned to
Original
their
decision
positions
not
because
out.
I think they think this
Pitching
is going down the leg side.
is in line. Impact in line. Wickets are missing. Russ, can you stay with your decision? Stand by. Signal not out now, please, Russ. Thank you.
So not out. 3 balls left of the innings. Can Eccleston find the ropes once more? In comes Gardner. She hits the ball without much timing. Down the ground, pushing hard for the first. Yes, no, maybe, no. It's just a single and Eccleston looks frustrated. How many have come from this over so far? Just the 2 runs from the first 4 balls.
Well, Gardner's really bowling pace and bowling Yorkers here. Bit of her own medicine, Eccleston.
Here comes Gardner. That's a horrible ball. It's wide down the leg side. That was almost a bouncer. It was something inventive, but ultimately unsuccessful from Ash Gardner.
So we saw her in the Test match, Eccleston. She bowled 77 overs and a couple of very quick deliveries.
Gardner bowls. Dean jams the ball into the ground over the bowler on the bounce, and Eccleston will run through to take strike for the final ball of the innings. 185 for 8. Can England... 6 will take them past 190. Boundary will take them to the cusp of it. Been a funny old innings. 8 down, but lots of runs on the board. Here comes Gardner then. Final ball of the innings. Eccleston dances down the track, hammers the ball out towards deep mid-wicket, pushing hard for the first. They'll have to turn for the second. Dean is running to the danger end, and she gets there. Oh, but I think Eccleston, slow setting off, maybe run out. They will check this. The Antipodean gurgling laugh of Alyssa Healy suggests that there might be a wicket here.
Well, it was almost a double play.
Third umpire
Ball
to
getting
director.
fired into the bowler's end, but keeper Healy wanted it to her end. Finally got there on a right angle.
She's got one of the great laughs and appeals in world cricket, Healy. You know, it could not be anyone else. Right then, here comes Eccleston.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
Throw comes in. Oh.
Yeah, play it all the way through for me, please.
Oh, we've not got another, have we? Oh, we have. Oh, no, I think she's just
go
out.
back for me. Just go back and pause. Go back and pause. Yep, bat is short of the ground. Do you have another angle just to confirm that, please? Thank you.
I mean, everyone's off the field at the moment, but poor old umpire Warren has to wait and make the signal.
For me, please.
So there we go. We can see that.
Thank you.
Is out.
Yep, satisfied, ready to make my decision. Thank you.
Why has she not dived there?
She may not have known the ball was coming her way because the ball went to the bowler's end and then it was fired into the keeper's end. As a second thought.
Well, that is a good point. Right then, so end of the innings, 186 for 9. How do you unpick all of that then?
Fantastic effort from England. Even though they had that massive collapse, 5 wickets lost for just 19 runs in 23 deliveries. They just kept coming hard, and I think that's what John Lewis has asked them to do. Play with freedom, take it to Australia. We're not going to win unless we show an attacking frame of mind, and that's what they've done tonight. And they've got a score that is defendable. on this pitch.
How long?
England have only made more than the score they've made tonight twice at home in T20 internationals. They made 187 for 5 against Pakistan back in 2016, and then the big one, the 250 for 3 against South Africa down in Taunton a few
Of
weeks ago.
course, yes, I remember it well. OK, right then, so score at the interval, 186 for 9. England asked to bat first by Australia. Good opening partnership as well, 57 between Sophia Dunkley and Danny Wyatt. They were 100 for 1 when the collapse began, and the dismissal of Nat Siver-Brunt for 23 saw suddenly 4 single-figure scores, including the captain Heather Knight, bowled by a beauty by Annabelle Sutherland first ball. But then a good recovery from 119 for 6. England then put on quickly 31 runs between Wyatt and Eccleston, and then Eccleston and Glenn continued the momentum for another 31 runs before at the back end of the innings in the final over both Glenn and Eccleston fell. Top scorer then Wyatt with 76, and 2 scores of 23 from Dunkley and Siver-Brunt, but useful runs at the back end of the innings from Eccleston with 22 from just 12 balls. Hers was the only 6 of the innings. 3 wickets for Sutherland, 3 for 28, 2 for Ash Gardner, and 1 apiece for Darcy Brown, Talia McGrath and Elise Perry. So the target for victory for Australia to guarantee retaining the Ashes will be 187. Alex, so we saw flurries from England there, but I think they'll think they've left a few out there probably.
Yeah, look, they could have got over 200. Australia will know that as well, so they won't be too daunted by chasing 187 to win. England will know if they can get the key wicket of Mooney, who has been in the thorn in the side for all other international teams. Every pressure game, she gets a 50 as a minimum. So if they can pick up that left-hand bat of Mooney, who's so often the anchor through the innings, goes at about 130 strike rate, such a key wicket. So we'd expect also to see maybe Nat Siver-Brunt have a bowl. This is a do-or-die contest for England. She's got a bit of a knee niggle, but they've got the total on the board, and this is a fantastic opportunity to win the game.
Phil?
Yeah, England really couldn't have done any more. Australia need more to win this game than they'd ever achieved to win a women's T20 international.
Oh, lovely. Right then. It is a high-scoring ground, this. The Oval is somewhere where you regularly see scores of north of 200 in the T20 Blast. So I think it's far from wildly above par. It's probably a little bit above par. I think England, if you'd offered them 175 at the start of the innings, they probably would have taken it. But in the end, that 186 for 9 is a pretty good effort.
We saw that Australia favoured the pace bowling on this pitch, though, and England, they've taken another spinner in. So they've dropped Davies and in comes Dean. So they've got the spin of Gibson and also Bell. They'll rely on Siver-Brunt to bowl a few overs, but it'll be spin heavy, and the Australians will understand that may actually fall in their favour.
Yeah. Well, it could be quite a significant power play, you sense. First 6 overs, if Australia get a good start, they'll feel really confident of chasing it down. If England can get the crowd behind them, and there's over 20,000 in, then they'll feel that they've got decent potential of winning this game, and they need to, because if Australia do win this match tonight, then they can't be caught, and England need to, out of the remaining 10 points, they need to win at least 9, so that would see either a tie or a no result, and then winning every other game or winning all the games, basically. So their margin for error is not so much minimal as non-existent, and England warming up with their fast bowlers Lauren Bell and Nat Siver-Brunt going through various warm-ups over to our left will be well aware of their task in this second innings. While we've got you, Alex, there is another game taking place in this Ashes summer tomorrow up the M1 in Leeds. It's a huge match, isn't it? I mean, goodness me, we've barely drawn breath after what happened at Lord's on Sunday.
You just take the cricket and the contest and how close it's been. Eyeballs are on the screen, people are in the gates, and then the drama, of course, the controversy, and so we just can't take our eyes off it. I think it's fantastic for Test cricket. Of course, we don't want to see things that are outside of the laws, but we saw some controversial dismissals, and we've seen the passion that's behind Test cricket. There's so many people that have comments on what's been going on. I mean, for the Aussies, it's great to have 2 wins on the board, of course, but England weren't far off in the first 2 Test matches, so they're the sort of team that could do something special, I think.
They are. The slight worry is looking at the forecast Sunday, Monday, which looks a little bit awkward, but let's worry about that when we get closer to it. But it's set up beautifully, and the controversy that is still rumbling on from prime ministers to, musicians to everybody's got an opinion on the Johnny Bairstow dismissal. But what it does do, regardless of where you stand on it, is it sets things up beautifully for the conversation and the, I suppose, the antagonism between the two sides, if you like.
Well, do you remember on the 5th morning we turned up and we thought we'd had controversy, didn't we, with the Mitchell Stark catch at the end of play, and that was everyone was talking about. And of course it went up a notch, didn't it, that next day. To go to Leeds now, it feels like game on. It feels like the Ashes has been reignited almost, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like
Even though it's
2-0 down. That's right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Dangerous lead 2-0, that's what they always say.
Yeah, half-time, anything could happen.
Anything could
Do you
happen.
defend or attack?
Well, that's the question. But what we can expect is a lively reception for Australia. And, I saw a quote from Steve Smith saying, well, I've told the boys this is what my life's always like coming to England. And, there's an extent to which the sort of pantomime of it will be really entertaining, but equally, clearly, some of what went on Sunday was beyond that, and that has been widely spoken about with the suspension of 3 MCC members after what happened in the long room during that lunch interval. So, clearly, passions are running high, and it is going to be that Western Terrace tomorrow is going to be someplace.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. What a contest. Ultimately, you have to accept the umpire's decisions. We've seen Sue Redfern tonight, third umpire, have that really tough call. What I'd like to see from England is for the men's team, is to play that short ball a little bit better. I mean, we've seen even the women's team tonight, they've had multiple dismissals from the short ball because they're so attacking. Both teams have this out-and-out attack approach. There's not much subtlety about what they're doing. There's not a lot of flexibility. When it's not working, they seem to keep going. And so I'd like to see England just rein it in a little bit when it's easily identifiable that we've got to put this pull shot away for a little while. Get Australia to bowl at our stumps again. It just seems like they're letting the foot off the gas by giving away a few dismissals, which, they could just ask Australia to bowl at them again and bowl at their stumps by letting a few of those go.
Yeah, I saw Glenn McGrath, he's got a brilliant column actually on the BBC Sport website that's well worth a read. He describes it shouldn't be called Bazball, it should be called Casball, because England are just so casual. And that's a really interesting point that he's made. He's sort of cited things like Australia's batters and the umpires out in the middle, England's bowlers under cloudy skies still sort of standing around on the boundary edge. And it's all sort of felt a little bit at times, in his view, that England have just been a little bit sort of not at the races.
And I think England can show a little bit more ruthlessness by understanding those moments where they've got to defend a little bit so then they can attack more. I'd like to see Joe Root at home be able to just play his way. He's been so successful as a test batter for so long. I don't think everyone in that batting lineup needs to be ultra aggressive. I think it's the sort of variety amongst the batting lineup that will be successful.
And for the first time in 100 test matches, no Nathan Lyon.
Yes.
Todd Murphy comes in. We love to talk about matchups, don't we?
Yeah.
But the England batting lineup against Todd Murphy could be one of the key matchups.
Could be fascinating. You want to see that the game is played with intensity on all sides. And England, don't get me wrong, have been intense at certain moments, but at other moments it's just felt sort of bordering on the reckless. And that's and I think what, if nothing else, the incident on Sunday has done is focus the minds a little bit. And you never know what could happen. I think if England could win that game at Headingley, then all bets are off for the rest of the series. The worry is if the rain gets in the way, it could be a quite sort of literally a damp squib. So we will find out. All gets underway tomorrow, 10:25. We're on air on 5 Sports Extra, BBC Sounds, ABC Grandstand as well, don't forget, and Radio 4 Long Wave, our last summer on Long Wave, with the shipping forecast soon to be a distant memory over the horizon. for listeners of cricket on BBC Radio, but we've got plenty more of it for the rest of the summer as we continue this memorable Ashes summer already. You could stop it now and you'd have enough memories to keep you going, because it has been so entertaining so far. On another day in another year, I think you could make an argument to say that the scores could be reversed at this point, but they're not. Australia dominating men's and women's Ashes cricket over in England, and Australia with a chance in the women's Ashes in this innings if they can chase down what is a fairly meaty target of 187. They will guarantee taking that trophy back to Australia. What have you spotted, Phil the Power Long?
I've spotted Nat Siver with ball in hand to open the bowling for England.
Lovely. Well, we've apparently there's a cyst behind the kneecap is the problem.
Yeah, and look, you want to put your best foot forward. England going with their most experienced bowler, world-class all-rounder, Nat Siver, and I think they need to start well. And if they can win the power play, they're a long way to winning the game. Put that scoreboard pressure on Australia. So I'd like to see this. They're not holding back. Nat has to give her all tonight. If that means she's got a sore knee, can't bowl for the rest, well, I mean, this is do or die for England.
They've got to get a win. Simple as that. And here comes Siver Brunt. Right arm over. First ball of the innings with Healy on strike, and she's leaning into a delivery outside the off stump. Picks up one, and the innings up and running. A fairly wayward throw from Alice Capsey, but just the one run taken. So the target 187. Blue skies overhead. Most of the ground now, probably 4/5 of it under shadow. And now it is Mooney on strike, with England desperate to get her wicket, because she has been, as you say, the thorn in the side of basically every team that she's played against.
If you look at the finals, World Cup finals, T20 World Cup in South Africa, 74. And then in the Com Games, gold medal match, 61. World Cup final against England in New Zealand for the 50 overs, she got a 62. T20 World Cup final against India at the MCG, she got a 78 not out. I mean, she gets runs when her team needs it.
Yeah. Here comes Siver Brunt. This is driven elegantly towards Eccleston at mid-off, and there is no run.
Well, she basically gets runs all the time, doesn't she, in T20s? 17 players have hit more than 2,000 runs in that format. Mooney's the only one with an average of 40 plus.
Wow.
And I look at the T20 batting rankings. Talia McGrath #1, and I think, gosh, well, shouldn't it be Beth Mooney?
Loopy delivery from Siver Brunt is defended out towards Eccleston again, and there's no run.
And of course she's #2. Australia have 5 batters in the top 10 rankings for T20s. Yes, so we've got Talia McGrath, Mooney. Lanning not here. She's at 5. Ash Gardner at 6. And then at 10 is Healy.
Yeah, not a bad... there is no England batter.
No England batter in the top 10.
Oh, chipped off the edge, down just short of Heather Knight at that solitary slip. That was a threatening moment for Australia's star opener. There's plenty of noise out there. And here Heather Knight, will be eager to contribute in the field, having been out first ball in the England innings, and that's a reasonably rare occasion, particularly for Knight, who's playing in her 100th T20 international. Here comes Siver Brunt. It's another low slingy delivery, which is beating the dive of Wyatt at cover, but it'll only be one, because out there in the deep is Danny Gibson, who I was really impressed with in the field the other night. Thought she didn't miss much, and she looked like she was absolutely on it.
She does look athletic. I was impressed with her bowling as well. We'll see that later on. Big shoes to fill, the all-rounder role there. Bowling all-rounder of Catherine Siver Brunt no longer playing.
Final ball of the over, and Healy taps it towards mid-wicket. Charlie Dean will field, and just 2 runs off the first over, so I think England will be pretty happy with that. Siver Brunt takes her cap from umpire Harris. And we're going to see Lauren Bell from the far end of the ground. Somebody who has that youthful unpredictability of a lot of hooping in swing, which sometimes can almost do too much. Sometimes the line isn't quite right, but when she does get it right, it's devastating.
I think she would have watched the Australian bowling effort and seen the pace and the carry. And she's a tall athlete. She'll be looking to just let the pitch assist her here. Hit good areas. asked the batters to drive on the up. There's a slip in place, that's Heather Knight. And then there's a short third. Interesting field here with Mooney. Just deep, slightly backward point and a deep square leg. So she is someone who plays the ball quite square of the wicket. So I expect with Bell she'll be looking to hit those hard lengths and ask Mooney to try and hit down the ground on the up.
Well, Lauren Bell coming in round the wicket, quite a straight approach. As in comes Bell now to Mooney, driven, skewing off the outer half of the bat towards Dunkley at deep backward point for one. One thing we mentioned in the Test match, Alex, was how Lauren Bell's approach, right arm round the wicket, was very angled, and it's almost as though she had to turn at the last minute before she bowled. It looks a lot straighter now.
Yeah, it was very angled. And what the bowlers of England have to deal with is the left-hand, right-hand combination. Healy and Mooney, so often they've batted together. They open the batting for T20s and one-day cricket. The Test matches, Healy as keeper and captain has brought herself down the order, but these two know their game so well and they'll be able to rotate strike quite easily. And that's asking Bell to come over and around, change up her angles.
Still that one slip in place. Here comes Bell galloping in, bowling to Healy, who just drops the ball at her feet but will get a single. Throw comes in from Danny Wyatt, and it's backed up by Eccleston. One taken, 4 without loss Australia, chasing 187. Gentleman over to our left has got a can of pop. He's got a little straw with it as well. He's looking very happy with life in the sunglasses. Worst places to be. Sunny evening at the Oval. Perfect view. Good game of cricket. In comes Bell round the wicket to bowl to the left-handed Mooney, who's advancing but can do nothing with it. It's well bowled by Bell, who can't stop it in her follow-through. If you can find it on social media, in one of the Red Bull warm-up matches, I think Kate Cross stuck this up on Instagram, possibly. Lauren Bell tries to take a catch in her follow-through, but I think she's at the end of a spell. So she sort of collapses like a sort of dying swan. Sort of, oh.
Did she take it?
No, nowhere near it. Miles away from it. And I asked about it the other day, and she said, I know, I can't believe that got put out there into the wider world. It's a full delivery from Bell. Plinked towards mid-on, no run there. So just 2 from the over thus far.
2 dot balls in a row here to Mooney. That's unheard of. She's so good at just dropping the ball at her feet and running. But Bell, with this angle, is cramping Mooney. There's plenty of space on the leg side if Mooney wanted to sort of turn the ball around her front pad. But, of course, that's probably what Bell wants her to do, keeping the ball nice and tight in at that front pad.
Here comes Bell again, arms pumping. She runs in, forward comes Mooney, driving towards Eccleston, who does brilliantly. That's a really good stop from Sophie Eccleston, who does sometimes get a bit of criticism for the fielding as part of her game, but she's been really impressive in the first couple of T20s, and that was an excellent stop. Just 1 taken, 5 without loss.
Well, she's world's #1 bowler. She just came off from a lovely knock at the end there. So if she can bring her fielding up as well, she's a real threat. England have to field well to beat the Aussies here tonight.
Siva Brunt at quite a straight mid-wicket weight, and that's nicely played. Brilliant shot from Healy. Advancing down the track and angling that bat a la Virat Kohli, sort of jamming it into the ground through backward point. And picking up the first boundary of the Australian innings. Fine shot from the skipper, 9 without loss.
Yeah, Bell being able to generate a few dot deliveries there. And just a pressure release at the end, but forcing the batter to do something. Giving up all of her stumps, backing away to the leg side and chopping through the point region. So it's been a good start by England with the ball. Looks like Nat Siva Brunt might continue.
I quite like this as a ploy from England if they do go for it. No, I think they're going to ask Charlie Dean to have a bowl, because I think if they can dry up the runs in the power play, just see if they can drive that required rate up, that will cause problems for Australia. But we are going to see a change of bowling with Charlie Dean, her off spin.
Everybody was trying to give their cap to the umpire there, weren't they? Nat Siva first, or then eventually Charlie Dean.
Well, this is great because genuine off spinner in the team. You've got the key batter in Mooney, player of the match in the first T20. You need to get her out early. So the offie bowling to the left-hander just might give the advantage to England while Mooney is getting set. 3 off 8, so she's not flying, Beth Mooney.
Fielders in the deep, at deep mid-wicket and deep cover, as round the wicket comes Charlie D, and that's slapped out towards that fielder at deep cover in front of the Archbishop Tennyson School. Danny Wyatt illuminated in a little sliver of sunshine. She now trots back round into the shadows with 1 run taken at the start of the over. Field shifts around with a long on and deep mid-wicket as the 2 out. Charlie Dean in the red of England. They've got a new T20 kit. Bright red jerseys and sort of a dark sky blue in the bottoms. Here comes Dean bowling to Healy, who angles the bat down towards Lauren Bell at short third. Just the 1 run taken.
Nice delivery there from Dean. Sort of wrong-footed Healy a little bit. She wanted to come down the pitch, but the flight wasn't there. Flattened the delivery out and caught Healy on the crease. Wasn't able to get the dot ball. Mooney too quick at the non-striker's end.
11 without loss. Dean bowls. That'll be a dot. And Charlie Dean has not been in great form domestically. Gets the opportunity. She's not somebody who I think is overly affected by that. Always plays with a smile on the face and is a confident bowler. And she's bowled nicely first 3 balls. Round the wicket, past umpire Harris, tossed up onto the toes of Mooney. Quick single taken, throw comes in from Danny Gibson, but they are home for 1. That scrambled single possibly tells a bit of a story though, because it's not been easy to get away so far for Australia.
Yeah, I think these 2 experienced batters, Healy and Mooney, they'll know that, okay, we've just accumulated a few dot balls. We just have to keep the scoreboard ticking over. Keep asking England to have to adjust their lines and angles with the left-hand, right-hand batting combination.
Here's Dean bowling, and a reverse sweep attempted as an appeal for a caught behind as Amy Jones takes it, but nothing doing from Anna Harris. And I think that Jones realised pretty swiftly that that was not out.
Yeah, I think that the hallmark of Dean's bowling success so far in this over has been that sort of flattened flight, not giving the batters time to get down the pitch.
Dean bowls. Now down the pitch comes Healy. Chips over the infield. Could be 4 runs, and it will be. Skipping away off this quick outfield and taking just a little bit of a chance is Healy. Chips it away over that crowded infield on the offside. And finding a boundary. 16 without loss then. And the target 187. So reminder, from 11 p.m. tonight on the iPlayer and BBC Sport website, you'll be able to watch highlights of this game and then watch them back at your leisure. There's in-play highlights on the BBC Sport website and app now. We've got our live text commentary running. And the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, said that was the way he followed the cricket, was on the BBC Sport website, following the live text commentary. Callum Matthews is our man on duty for that this evening. Lauren Bell is continuing, running round the wicket to bowl to Mooney. Full delivery, which is hit in the air. Fielder running round, won't stop it. It's going to be 4. And back-to-back boundaries across the over signal perhaps a little shift in the momentum here, with Australia now finding a bit of rhythm. 20 without loss.
Well, England have done well to generate those dot deliveries and forcing the Australians to do something to break that pressure. Healy has been giving up her stumps. That time Mooney flicking the ball to the leg side, nearly brought in the catcher at deep square leg, Danny Gibson.
Still a slip in place. Bell bowls down the leg side, that'll be wide.
So I feel like they've got their plans pretty well here, England. They understand where these individual batters are looking to hit the ball. They've got the field set uniquely to each of the batters. Heather Knight in her 100th T20 international. She wasn't able to score, got a first ball duck. She'll be looking to lead her team tonight, keep them calm under pressure. The Aussies are going to come at them.
21 without loss. Here comes Lauren Bell with Mooney whipping that ball on the full towards mid-on. That could have been put anywhere. There's a massive gap through mid-wicket, but she only finds Capsey at mid-on, so Bell gets away with one. The score remains at 21 without loss. Let me also point you in the direction of our podcast that we've got. You can't move for Ashes coverage, Alex. He's just all over the shop. It's marvellous. We've got tail enders, no balls, and lots of special Ashes content too, including the Ashes Hour. I'll tell you about that in a minute. In comes Lauren Bell, forward comes Mooney, chipping down the ground. Beautiful shot. Down the ground and a one bounce four, just. It landed maybe half a foot inside the rope, but ominous signs for England as Mooney moves to 13, 25 without loss. Talk us through that shot.
Well, Bell just gave Mooney a little bit of length to work with here, pitched it up. Mooney didn't have to move at all, just a clean swing down the ground. And I think Bell will want to just bring that length back. She's got no fielders down the ground, so she needs to hit top of the stumps or through the hip.
So Bell round the wicket, bowling to Mooney once again. And it's down the leg side, that'll be wide. Good take from Jones, diving to her right, 26 without loss. But
better energy through the pitch though there, bowling to her field, not with the line but her length, much better. But yeah, this is where that difficulty of adjusting to the left hand, right hand comes in.
Already 10 from the first 3 legitimate balls of this over, so pressure on Lauren Bell here. She's at the end of her mark. Still a deep backward point and a deep square leg, the 2 outside the circle. In comes Lauren Bell, and this is whipped into that leg side. Long chase for Danny Gibson, who will stop it before it reaches the boundary. 2 added. So the Ashes Hour, which is a new podcast, well, it's a little box set really, as much as anything. It is the entire full hour of commentary from classic Ashes matches down the years. And we did it all ahead of the summer starting. So we've got 2005, 2009, 13, 15, Women's Test at Canberra 2022. We've had to add a couple of other ones for this year as well. There's been so much on. In comes Bell, bowling to Mooney, who'll get 1 into the leg side, just up on her toes. And the score 29 without loss. So you can listen in full to classic Ashes commentary. So look out for that on BBC Sounds, the place to find it. So all sorts for you to enjoy as we continue this this memorable Ashes summer. 10:25 tomorrow morning, Phil.
What are we going to do on August the 1st when this is all over?
The 100.
Of course.
That's what we're going to do.
No time for an Ashes hangover.
No, absolutely not. Lauren Bell then running in to bowl to Alyssa Healy, who is trying to get some room and gets a toe end down to deep third for 4. That would have gone absolutely to that slip fielder, Heather Knight, if she'd remained there. She's not there, and so the ball goes to the boundary. 33 without loss. What was that over worth? It feels like it's changed everything.
17.
Oof. Well, Lauren Bell has been going nicely in this Ashes series so far, but that was pretty loose over from the England fast bowler. And we're going to see, I think, Siva Brunt back into the attack.
Also feels like Australia's been hitting a boundary off the last ball most of these opening 4 overs.
I've got an attendance for you, if you're ready. It is 20,328, and that, I think, is before hospitality.
It's good, isn't it?
Oh, sensational.
How the women's game moved on when Alex Blackwell says that's only good.
Well, there's a few empty seats out there.
Mooney waiting, dropping the ball into space in the offside. Danny Wyatt runs in, throws, misses the stumps. A puff of dust as Healy runs the bat in. 34 without loss.
Well, I have seen a full MCG. It was a World Cup final, and Australia were playing at home.
It was a bit of an outlier, that.
It was huge.
If nothing else, it was incredible.
Yeah. So I guess I have a pretty high bar now. But I have been impressed with the attendance at the Test match at Trent Bridge, and then, of course, Edgbaston was fantastic. That felt like capacity. Feels like there could be a few more here.
Siva Brunt bowling. Oh, brilliant shot from Healy. She might get 6 for this. She does. Over wide, long on. Step down the track. Free flow of the arms, and away it goes. That's a really good shot from Australia's captain. 40 without loss.
She didn't get all of it, though. She sort of got the inside half of this, but she was 100% committed to it. There was space down the ground, and it was slightly sort of that horizontal swing, slightly, to get the elevation.
Siva Brunt bowling. This time it's dropped towards backward point. No is the cry, and there is no run. I mean, that day will forever be a landmark of what is possible.
That's
and
right.
A reminder, and, you know, nothing brings me greater pleasure than when we get messages, which we still occasionally do, saying, why are you covering this? No one cares. And you just take a picture, show that picture of 84,000 in. Here comes Siva Brunt, hit firmly towards Charlie Dean at mid-wicket, and there is no run. And that's just, you know, it's a reminder that special things are happening more and more often in terms of those that want to come and enjoy the women's game.
It's the biggest growth area in the business of cricket, isn't it? Women's cricket.
Siva Brunt bowls, chipped aerially. It's going to clear the infield. It might just plug this. It does. A little bit of backspin, and Eccleston wasn't actually that far away from it, running back from mid-on. So a couple of runs taken, 42 without loss.
I think what's key is being able to put fixtures on the premier grounds like we've seen in this Women's Ashes, the top grounds, that's where we're playing, but also at the right time and, you know, right dates so that people can actually come and watch, so that's family friendly in terms of hours.
Siva Brunt bowls a delivery down the leg side, quite a long way down the leg side, wide signalled. Well, that's crucial, isn't it? Right venues, right dates is vital. But let's not forget, this is a school night in term time, and there's still over 20,000 in the Oval, which is pretty good going, really. And we mentioned the other night that Nat Siva Brunt made her debut 10 years ago on Saturday at Louth, which is, yeah, relatively, it's a small club ground, really. Lovely, beautiful up in Lincolnshire. But it's not anything like what we see tonight. Healy on strike then. Final ball of the 5th over is hit for 6. A mighty blow way out into the leg side. And I think the catch might have been taken as well. 6 runs, the second 6 of the over. And this is starting to look a little bit ominous for England, I think it's fair to say. 5 overs gone, 49 without loss. Some more from you, Alex Blackwell. And then it'll be Emily Winter.
Yeah, looking really dangerous for England. Healy, she's in a mood tonight. She's started to open those arms up. We've seen a couple of big sixes, none bigger than that last shot. Crowd, you've got to stay awake. The ball might be flying your way. That was a great catch in the crowd. And we see the Aussies looking pretty relaxed on the boundary. Long way to go still, but a nice partnership forming.
33 off the last 2 overs. Australia are motoring.
Well, this is going to be an exciting watch, especially if Australia keep going like this. But for the Ashes, to keep the Ashes alive for England, it's a must-win for them. 49 without loss, then Charlie Dean coming into the attack from the pavilion end into Mooney, and that's worked up to mid-on for a single. Mooney will move to 18, 50 up then for Australia in the 6th over.
I think what these two batters have done well is they've had a little bit of a look the first 3 overs, and then they've gone bang, bang. 17 off Bell's over, and then 16 off Nat Siva Brunt's over, and such a crucial bowler in this lineup, Siva Brunt, so to be able to make a statement against her.
It's Dean in, reverse sweep by Healy. Dino liked that one. Charlie Dean put her hands on her head. It's a dot ball.
And the other thing in the favour of the Australian batters is they've got such a deep lineup so that they can continue to be aggressive and chase down this big total.
Charlie Dean in, and that's hit over the offside. Cry of catch it. But everything's hitting Elisa Healy's middle of the bat at the moment. That's one to watch on the highlights later. She's on to 33, 54 without loss, Australia.
Well, Danny Wyatt thought she might be in here for a catch. It was a full stretch dive to her right and not able to get hand on that. It was absolutely smashed. Healy doesn't really care where the fielders are. She's just smacking it. Backing herself to go over the top.
There's Dean into Healy. Reverse sweep this time. Sarah Glenn does well. Preventing that through the offside. All that offside field is up. And that's where Elisa Healy is targeting the off spinner. Tell you what, if I could hit it as well as Healy, I would not worry where the fielders were. We don't all have that luxury. There's Charlie Dean from the pavilion end. Into Healy, bowls, advances, hits that to mid-wicket. Call of no, so 2 dot balls from Charlie Dean. 1 ball remains of her second over. I feel like something's going to happen here. Her fielder's outside the ring because it's the last over of the power play. A long on and deep mid-wicket. As Dean in bowls, and that's hit hard down the ground. Long on is there, but won't get there. Again, the middle of Healy's bat. 37 she's on, 58 without loss Australia. Completing the power play. How does that compare to England's one, Phil?
Yeah, as far as power play go, quite tight. 58 without loss for Australia. England were 54 without loss at the end of their power play.
Yeah, a tight one it is. As Alex Blackwell, who's just leaving us, said there, the Australian batting lineup is formidable. They bat deep. They can keep coming at this England attack. Jess Jonason's carded coming in at number 9. They've got a lot to come to chase down this total. But wow, Alex Hartley, these two look formidable.
Yeah, they do indeed, don't they? They do indeed, and you just got to find a way of getting them out.
Beth Mooney's the key, isn't she? She's gone to run a ball, that's all for her, strike weight wise. But 58 for no wicket after 6.
Yeah, dangerous player, Beth Mooney, purely for the fact she knows how to tempo an innings. So strike rate 100 now, but if she's still there in 5 overs time, she will accelerate.
Sarah Glenn coming into the attack. She's getting her field right here. Deep cover, long on, deep mid-wicket and deep square legger. She's in and bowls, and that's worked into the onside by left-handed Mooney. She'll settle for a single and moves to 19, 59 without loss Australia. They need 187 to win here.
And Mooney's other great strength is she can see that Healy's in all sorts of form here. Last 3 overs, she's taken a single off the first ball, giving Elisa Healy the strike.
Over to you, skipper.
That's the way it goes, isn't it? That's the way it goes. That's what this Australian team do so well. They just know how each other works.
Glenn with her long blonde hair bowls her leg spin, and that's bowled her! Elisa Healy tried to be innovative and work it down to fine leg, but Sarah Glenn picks up the big wicket of Elisa Healy. She's gone for 37, and England 59 for 1.
Huge moment in this game. Sarah Glenn with the breakthrough. We know how destructive Healy is. She's going so well. She's looking to manoeuvre the field. There was no short fine in place. Sarah Glenn, clever bowling, just keeping the stumps in play, keeping things simple, allow the batter to make the mistake. 37 from just 19 balls from Elisa Healy has got Australia off to an absolute flyer.
Talia McGrath then coming into the middle. It just keeps coming, Alex.
Yeah, the best T20 batter in the world at the moment, Talia McGrath. So, huge moment for her, but a huge moment for England if they can get another wicket here. Sarah Glenn can get 2 in the over, or maybe just 1 the next over as well. Just open that door, and as we spoke about in the first innings, it's what Australia do. They climb in so well. Average of 59.5, Talia McGrath. Just the standard 59.5. We'll call it 60.
Just average, that, isn't it?
Just well, it says average.
Ridiculous, though, isn't it? Come on then. Earlier on in your innings, how are you getting Talia McGrath out?
Honestly, it's such a good question. I think you've got to do what Sarah Glenn does, keep the stumps in play.
Here we go then. Glenn bowls, and that's hit through the offside. She's hit that well, but Danny Wyatt at deep cover keep it to a single. She's off the mark first ball. 60 for 1, Australia.
But just like any batter, everyone's got their weaknesses early on. Try and make a play across the line of the ball. She wants to play it nicely down the ground. She wants that ball wide of the off stump.
Glenn round the wicket to Mooney in. That's worked easily off her pad down to a deep square. She moves to 20, 61 for 1, Australia. Mooney's key, though, isn't she? You feel like if England can get Mooney, they then can just build on that. But in the first T20, all the time she was there, England were in the game. Is that's a player miss outside the off stump by McGrath.
Yeah, Mooney for me is one where I look at her and I look at how she plays and I go, I honestly, as a bowler, I wouldn't know how to get you out right now.
Glenn in, and that's pushed into the offside, into a vacant cover region. McGrath onto 2, 62 for 1, 187 the target. Felt like that was a good score at halfway. Sophie Eccleston at the end was brilliant to get England up to that, but this pitch for me, we were talking off air a bit about how it's got pace, it's got bounce. Does that not just sound similar to Australian conditions, Alex?
Very similar, but it's a good T20 wicket, isn't it? We want hard decks, we want fresh pitches, because had it have been a used pitch or a pitch that was slightly old, it offers more for the bowlers. It's not a good viewing, is it? We like low scoring thrillers, but actually as a crowd you want to see 4s, you want to see 6s, you want to see runs scored easily from both sides. So whoever holds their nerve here wins this game, and we know the Australians more often than not hold their nerve for longer.
And what a crowd it is in tonight, 20,328 here at the Oval. The series impressed so far with the crowd that have come in to support this England team, and the player that they're certainly coming in to watch is Sophie Eccleston.
The world's best bowler in all formats, T20, ODI, world's best test bowler. If not the best spinner England have ever produced, fantastic bowler. And there's a lot of pressure on her. A lot of pressure on her as such a young bowler. She's just trying to get the umpire in the right spot, otherwise he has to stand behind her.
You're good though if you're getting the umpire to move for you.
Well, she's got a face on here, Soph.
World best bowler to the world's best batter, who just pushes her through the offside for a single. 63 for 1 Australia.
Just here on the stump mic that she's asking the umpire to stand even closer. And if he doesn't want to, he then has to stand behind Sophie Eccleston, as we see quite a lot of umpires doing.
He is very close to the stumps. He's almost a step away. I think he could touch the stumps actually, Alex, if he put his hand out.
Could take the bails off himself.
Eccleston, left arm over the wicket, bowls, and that's a quick run from Mooney. She's almost hit that at her feet and kept running at the ball, chasing it down, but that's how good she is. She knows where the fielders are. You've got the offside up there, and she's just gone, okay, a little bit of one hand, one bounce.
Yeah, she's knocked it into the pitch next to her, so it's not gone far at all. It's clever running. Just rotate that strike, that right left hand. Don't let Eccleston settle.
Eccleston to McGrath, who drives, and that's out to deep cover again. Just calm from her so far into her innings, and that's what Australia did well in the power play. They didn't go crazy from ball 1. They then, as they got in, Healy then kicked on. And it looks like McGrath's going to play a similar way, just 4 off the 5 deliveries so far. There's a trumpet below us from the Barmy Army, getting the crowd going. There's Eccleston in, and Mooney advances, hits to mid-off, Crive catch it. Did that carry? Now it could be a run out at the keeper's end, and it is. McGrath is gone, run out. Charlie Dean is laying on the floor, and she's going to get bundled by her teammates.
Pylon from the England girls.
But the best batter in the world, McGrath, is gone, run out for 4. Australia is 65 for 2. But could that have been Mooney out? How do we explain this, Alex Hartley?
Well, it was a drop catch from Charlie Dean. First of all, as we just see the replay, Beth Mooney slaps the ball to mid-off. It bounces just at the feet of Charlie Dean. She stands up, both knees, throws the ball to the keeper's end. Talia McGrath caught ball watching ever so slightly. And awesome work from Amy Jones. Unbelievable work from Amy Jones. The throw wasn't that good from Charlie Dean, understandably, because she was on both knees. Amy Jones takes the ball, full-length dive at the stumps, and runs out Talia McGrath. Charlie Dean lies face down in the dirt and flaps her arms like she's some sort of bird.
Yeah, but I don't know if she just wanted to fly away to escape the lack of the catch. I think she would have, knowing Charlie Dean very well, she'd have been disappointed she probably didn't take that catch, because she's such a good fielder, but she just sort of held her position, didn't she? She didn't come at the ball. They are quite tough to judge at mid-off, mid-on, but for her, luckily, a run out.
Yeah, redeemed herself very well there.
Ash Gardner comes to the crease as Eccleston bowls, and that's a thick outside edge from her, out into the offside. 66 for 2 Australia in reply to England's 187.
A little bonus for England, that run out. Because the Australians don't give their wickets away lightly.
Eccleston then from the pavilion end as the sun sets. That's into Mooney, and outside edge, a cry of weight. Lauren Bell does well, skidding on her knees, not letting it pass that inner ring. That's the end of the over. Just 4 runs from it from Eccleston, and she's calling her teammates to get round here. 66 for 2 Australia after 8 overs. They require 187 to win. Planes overhead, floodlights are on here. Crowd of all ages here. There's even bananas in the crowd, Alex.
Bananas?
Have you not seen the bananas?
But what, as in like the physical ones that you eat?
Well, I hope that you've seen physical bananas before.
These what? This banana?
Not that banana.
Oh, there's people dressed as bananas.
Come on now. And actually earlier, I think Henry Moran said the Australian kit looks like bananas. There's a lot of bananas tonight. It's Danny Gibson into the attack bowls, and that's outside the off stump. That's a lovely shot. Sarah Glenn at deep third comes round. Great diving stop. They come back for 2. Gardner on to 3, 68 for 2 Australia.
No, I can't say I've seen the bananas in the crowd.
Just down to our left, there's a few remaining. Oh, I think they've actually done a runner. The bananas are on the loose.
Want to put their pyjamas on.
Gibson in bowls, and that's again worked down to third man by Gardner. She's on to 4, 69 for 2.
There's Jeff Lemon behind the straws. A smiley face on his banana.
There's so much bananas going on. I don't want to know what else has been drawn on the banana. I turn my back for 1 minute. Silence says it all. 187. I'll focus on the cricket. Mooney's on strike then. She's going well. There's Gibson in bowls, and that's worked into the onside. Danny Wyatt at a deep mid-wicket keeps it to a single. Mooney on to 22, 70 for 2 Australia.
Well, it's really good this from England, because that required run rate for Australia has gone up and above 10 runs per over. And we know as a team, as teams, we look to try and push that run rate above 10s as quick as possible.
Gibson bowls, and that's a great delivery, just lifted on Gardner, taken well by Amy Jones, but good pace from her. Second T20 international debut at Edgbaston. Promising cricketer. You played against her in domestic cricket.
Yeah, very, very good cricketer. He's got a few change-ups, makes her a very dangerous bowler, but also a good batter as well. Not proven that so far.
Gibson in gathers, and that's pushed to extra cover. They're going to come through for a quick single. Charlie Dean drop and roll, but they make it comfortably. Gardner to 5, 71 for 2 Australia.
No, I think she's a player that thoroughly deserves her debut in this format.
She just feels that good all-rounder role. You know, you can count on her, can't you, with both the bat and the ball, and in the field as well. Very athletic cricketer. And she's round the wicket to Mooney. That's hit into the onside. A cry of catch it. Danny White's under it and takes it. Danny Gibson in her second T20 with the big wicket of Beth Mooney. She's gone for 22. And England are right in this now. Australia are 72 for 3.
Well, Beth Mooney looking for the big shot, looking for the big heave into the leg side. Picks out Danny Wyatt, deep mid-wicket. And Danny Gibson gets her first wicket in international cricket. All the girls get around her. We talked about how you get Beth Mooney out. Well, Danny Gibson's found one of the ways. Get her to hit the ball into the air, into deep mid-wicket. Huge moment for Gibbo as well. Second T20 game, first international wicket. It's Beth Mooney, the dangerous Beth Mooney. That'll be a moment that she'll never forget.
Who was your first international wicket, Alex? You remember?
No. I'm saying she won't forget. But she might, because I did.
Come on, you must remember.
No, I've got no idea. I've got absolutely no idea. My first ODI wicket was a West Indies player, because I didn't get any in my debut. My first T20 wicket was one of the Pakistan girls. I don't know.
I'm disappointed.
I've actually got no clue.
I hope we can find this out.
Bill's on it, I can see.
But England here in a very good position. 187 to win. That run rate's climbing, as Alex Hartley alongside me said. And I think having Charlie Dean in this team has meant Sophie Ecclestone didn't bowl in the power play. So she's still got 3 overs left here. And we know at the death how good she can be. As she bowls, and that's clattered into the stumps at the bowler's end. No hand on it from Ecclestone. So it's a dot ball. Hit hard though by Gardner.
Hit really hard. I think that's where England potentially might have gone wrong in the first game. Ecclestone, there's no need for her to bowl in the power play. You want her in the middle, you want her in at the death.
The umpire just rearranges his stumps that he stood very close to for Ecclestone. All the fielders out in front of the bat. As Ecclestone in round the wicket, and that's hit into the onside. There's no square leg, and that's racing across the square for 4. Gardner on to 9, 75 for 3 Australia.
First bad ball from Sophie Ecclestone. Just a slight drag down there for her. Back of her length, Gardner onto it within a flash on the back foot and just shovels it into the onside for 4.
To this field as well, she's got to be bowling full. You've got deep cover, deep long off, deep long on, a deep mid-wicket. As she's in, bowls that full length. And Gardner just chipped it straight back to her. And she has to go now. Australia is 75 for 4, and England have their foot down.
Well, Sophie Ecclestone with the caught and bowled. Ash Gardner, a soft dismissal, just taps the ball back to the bowler. Just flicks the ball straight back to Ecclestone, looking to punch the ball down the ground for 1. The simple of simple catches for Sophie Ecclestone, and Gardner, she goes for 9. Australia 75 for 4. This has to be one of the first times this has happened for Australia. Now it's how England react. And Sophie Ecclestone, 100 T20 international wickets.
And she was the fastest to do it. And do you know who she was faster than?
Holly Colvin.
Anya Shrubsole. She did it in 74 games, and this is 72 matches for Sophie Ecclestone. Is that correct, Phil?
Yeah, she's the quickest in terms of matches. She's the youngest person to do it, and she's quickest in terms of time since her debut.
Wow. Is that ever? Youngest ever? Quickest ever?
She's only 24 and she's already got 100 T20. Honestly,
she hurts my feelings with how good she is and how good she could be, because 24 years old, she's been playing since she was 16. An unbelievable cricketer is Sophie Ecclestone. One of, if not the best in the world. Well, she is the best in the world.
It's just crazy that she's 24. What's to come? She's gonna... Well, she's certainly got many years, that's for sure.
But you think, oh, yeah, 100 wickets, like, good achievement. It's 100 international wickets at the age of 24.
Grace Harris comes to the crease for Australia.
Well, she came out singing and dancing in the previous game and got a golden duck.
She's got a bit about her, though, hasn't she? She's wants to keep talking, whether that's to the opposition or to her teammate, but she can hit a long ball.
Yeah, she can. She's intimidating, is Grace Harris. What you do know is she'll give opportunities, but here, Sophie Ecclestone, full and straight, get her out LBW.
Alex Hartley's called it then. Let's see what happens. There's Ecclestone in bowls, and that is full and straight. Doesn't hit the pad, though, unfortunately for England. Grace Harris digs it out. It's a dot ball. 2 balls remain of this 10th over. England are up and about. This crowd are enjoying it. You can hear the hum here at the Oval as Ecclestone in bowls, and that's worked to in front of square. And they're going to come back for a couple as Dunkley does a dive and stop, tries to slip and slide along the wicket ends. And they come back for 2. Harris is off the mark then. 77 for 4 Australia, 187 to win. Where's your money now, Alex?
Well, it's always been with England, what you're on about.
Of course. Ecclestone in again, bowls, and that's in defence. A cry of no as Sophia Dunkley's quick to it. That's 10 overs gone then. Fantastic bowling from Ecclestone. Make sure you catch them on the highlights later tonight. And a change in the commentary position. You'll be joined by Melissa Story.
Well, a huge moment here for England. 2 fresh batters at the crease. Perry on 0, Harris on 2. They've opened the door and they've climbed in. Eccleston telling her teammates, come on, hurry up, get round. That's purely because you don't want to be behind the clock. The one thing you don't want to do is have to bring an extra fielder inside the fielding circle.
Hello, Alex.
Hello.
Those highlights Emily Windsor mentioned, of course, available from 11 p.m. tonight on the iPlayer or the BBC website.
I think everyone should go and watch them. I really do.
I agree with you.
Because
crazy. Here comes Gibson, and it's pushed past her by, apologies, Perry there.
not only
why should we watch?
Not only will you see some fantastic wickets, a wonderful innings from Danny Wyatt, the highest ever score England have set Australia, but you get to see my face presenting them for the first ever time.
That's just the best reason to go watch them. 11 p.m. as that one beats the outside edge of Perry's bat through to Jones. An extra bit of bounce there from Gibson, who bowls with just a little bit of a harder ball, likes those cross seamers, and likely one there which just bounced off that seam and found a bit of trampoline bounce from this surface. Australia 77 for 4. As Gibson, that high arm bowls, full driven over the head of extra cover. 2 bounce 4. Glorious from Perry, who's, I guess Alex had to adapt her T20 game after being dropped from the Australian squad just a few years ago, and she's found her way back in it. She's upped her strike rate, but she still plays those classical shots.
Yeah, she does, and this one is just full and wide outside the off stump, so easy pickings for Elise Perry, but she's found herself out of the team. She's had to reinvent herself as a T20 player, and she has done.
Gibson skips past the umpire. Better length as it's guided to point. A slight fumble allows Perry to get off for a single. 82 for 4. Australia needing 105 more from 56 balls. You're having a little sing-along to that last song, Alex. What song was that?
Love a bit of Lewis Capaldi.
Oh, yeah. Nice guy, Lewis Capaldi.
Is he? Do you know him?
I could just lie and say, yeah, couldn't I?
Besties.
Went to school together, can't you tell from a Scottish accent? Gibson here, just pausing at the top of her mark as Harris waits a few seconds. She's in position now as Gibson runs in, bowls, and gently guided down to deep third by Harris. She'll pick up just a single, and the score moves on to 83 for 4. Now, I'm not sure whether I missed it, Alex, but did we not have Living on a Prayer play as Grace Harris came out to bat?
I don't think we did today. Don't think we did.
After proving that if we get Grace Harris to have a little sing-along, then she gets a first bowler. But now she's on 3 or 4. The curse has been broken. Gibson forward swung down the ground gloriously. Almost gets over the rope, but falls just short. Perry finds the boundary again. She moves on to 9, and Australia now just need 100 more runs from 54 balls. They bat deep, and it's going to come down to an exciting conclusion, you feel, here at the Oval. They're not the kind of team who get put off by a big total. We saw actually in their series against India, when they went out to India, played a number of T20s there, that even when India were getting around 180, Australia were just shrugging and going, OK, we'll chase that.
Yeah, this game is by no means over whatsoever with these two at the crease. Australia bat deep, but these two are going to be key here. They've got Annabelle Sutherland to come as well. I think she'll come in next. So they've probably got one more lifeline, Australia, but this is a key partnership.
Sarah Glenn into the attack outside the off stump, cut into the ground and bounces into the hands of Eccleston at point. It's a dot ball, every dot ball here crucial.
I'm intrigued if Phil's found my first ever wicket, because I'd love to know who it was.
Be a big moment for you. As down the leg side, Glenn, she's annoyed with herself here as sweeping fine. Harris finds the boundary, and you can hear the silence from the crowd. Australia just boost their total. 91 for 4 now, 96 more runs required.
Yeah, poor ball from Sarah Glenn, angling the ball down the leg side. easy as you like for Grace Harris, and Sarah Glenn knows it. They can't bowl too many loose balls here, England.
As Glenn just makes a small adjustment to the field. Mid-wicket comes into fine leg inside the ring, offering Australia a single in front of square. She's bowling full outside the off stump, driven by Harris, down to long off. And it'll just be a single. 95 more runs required by Australia. Is there any players in particular who want to be your first wicket before we find out from Phil?
Well, we were playing Pakistan and I can't remember. Sana Mia maybe I'd take. She was the skipper at the time, I'm guessing.
We'll find out after this delivery. The suspense, honestly, I can feel it. It's all around us. As Glenn is in, off the back foot this time as Perry, just working it square of the wicket, then out to the cover sweeper. Gibson fields, and another single off Australia's run chase. 94 more runs needed.
It was Iram Javed.
Yeah.
Port Wilson.
Yes. I think Fran was at long off.
So great first wicket sounds. As Fuller driven by Harris. Glenn just coming back nicely here from that boundary on the second ball of this over.
Your second wicket was Bismar Maroof, the captain.
Was that also
Old by
Oh, so there you go.
Old, yeah, that was a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
We'll ignore the caught it. What was it? Deep cow. Glenn, drivable length outside the off stump. And Perry reaches for that one. Finds the fielder at deep cover. And Glenn in the end a tidy over apart from that boundary. 95 for 4 Australia. They need 92 from 48 balls.
And your other international T20 wicket?
Oh, I've got 3.
Got 3.
Elise Fulani, Beth Mooney.
Ashley Gardner.
Ashley Gardner. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
I knew that because we spoke about it last time, actually.
So there you go. You only went and got out the player of the Test match at Trent Bridge, the player of the World Cup.
I only played 4 international T20 games, and then Eccleston came along, and now she's the world's best England have ever produced.
In some ways, you almost made such a big sacrifice to allow the world access to Sophie Eccleston.
I did.
If anything,
I held her back.
You're the most selfless person. I know, Alex.
I said, you know what? Let me have a career first, and then in you come and have all the glory.
And I'll commentate on it. Perfect dynamic as Dean, flatter delivery on the hip of Perry, tickles it down to fine leg. They run the first one hard, but good work in the deep from Danny Gibson. Keeps that one down to just a single. 91 needed from 47 balls. Dark clouds in the sky, but no threat of rain, I think. Of course, there might be a bit of weather on the radar, apparently, at Headingley this next week for the men's 3rd Ashes test. As Dean is bowling and gets through! Harris goes! And Charlie Dean picks up England's 5th wicket. Important wicket for England because Harris is a destructive batter. She's in the middle no more. Through the gate. And Charlie Dean has her first wicket of the day.
Well, Grace Harris can barely believe that. But actually, she's just missed a straight delivery. She's looking to hit the ball into the onside, knock the ball into the onside for 1, 2 at most. Played straight across a straight delivery that clatters the top of middle stump. Charlie Dean found herself out of this team, didn't play the first game. She's bowling so well here today.
And I was going to say, I mean, Grace Harris bowled in the first T20 as well, whether she's got a vulnerability to this, but both dismissals of just being missing a straight one. Can you really say that's a vulnerability? Guys, watch out, Grace Harris is coming in. All you've got to do is bowl full and straight, and she might miss it. It's quite a nice thing for England, I guess, as well, to have someone of Grace Harris's, ability and have her cheaply twice. It must give them confidence. And as you say, that partnership was so crucial for Australia because it brings Annabelle Sutherland to the middle, that wicket. And this is probably their last established batting partnership.
Yeah, got an average of 10 in T20s, but she's better than that, is Annabelle Sutherland.
She proved of her magnificent century in the Test match as that one almost goes through her as well. Complete disbelief from Charlie Dean, who is bowling wonderfully out there in the middle. We'll have to Watch that one again as it just straightens and playing the wrong line, and almost just stumbling out of her crease there was Sutherland. Dean in, a paddle attempted, and it was cued to mid-wicket by Sutherland. 96 for 5, 91 more runs needed, 44 balls left. That required run rate now 12.41.
England should win this.
Dean to Sutherland, driving calmly down the ground to long on. We'll just pick up the single as Eccleston patrolling the boundary down there. 90 more runs needed.
Yeah, England well on top here, and well on top for a period of time that we've not seen against Australia for a while.
As Dean over the wicket, down the leg side, it's top edge swept, but over the fielder in the ring. One bounce, two bounce down to the boundary cushion, and a bit of luck there in the end for Sutherland. Apologies, that was Perry there in the end, but Charlie Dean, she won't be too dismayed with that one. It was just straying down the leg side, and that was a bit streaky. Gets the desired boundary for Australia. They're 101 for 5, so they bring up the 3 figures. 86 needed from 42 balls.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how England use their spinners now going into the latter stages of this game. Charlie Dean's got 1, Sarah Glenn's got 2, Eccleston's got 2 as well.
Very good memory there. Looks like Sarah Glenn going to be continuing. Got the cow, long on, long off, a deep cover as she's bowling to Sutherland, gives herself room and slaps the ball through the offside. Cover coming round to their right to field, and a single taken. 85 needed from 41 balls. Sutherland just looked a bit frustrated with herself there, just punching the face of her bat. It's coming down the pitch as Perry, again not making the desired contact. Gets the ball down to long on. Another single taken. And just by taking almost all the pace off the ball here, England as well, they just have that ability to dry things up. Australia, 5 down, don't have that luxury of wickets in hand, allowing them to swing, although swing she does, Sutherland, and it gets a leading edge between the fielders at square and fine leg, and a rather disappointing dive from Sophia Dunkley on the boundary means it's 4 runs to Sutherland. Australia need a further 80 runs from 39 balls. Alex, I'll let you describe that dive from Sophia Dunkley.
Well, it's that lush green grass where you know if you dive forward, you're just going to get stuck. So you have to dive, you have to time your dive perfectly. Sophia Dunkley dives forward and gets stuck, and the ball goes for 4.
Glenn in again, uppish, but past the fielder in the ring, down to wide long off. Another single taken. It was almost like watching someone go on a slip and slide, but without any water.
Yes, that's exactly what it's like.
Coming to a really sad stop in the end. She put in a good effort though. As Glenn, flatter delivery and a shout for a caught behind it from Amy Jones, who had just the one hand up in the air. She's a bit unsure herself, I think, while Sarah Glenn, the bowler, was a lot more convinced. And England have sent it upstairs. What are your first thoughts, Alex, on that one?
Well, I'm not sure either, and Amy Jones, she says now she's not quite sure, but England have 2 reviews, so I don't blame them for going upstairs for this at all.
Third umpire to director, we have a player review for caught behind. On-field decision is not out. I've checked the front foot, it's a fair delivery. Can we go front on, please?
A small nick would be hard for the umpire to hear because it is loud out there.
Well, here we go. As Sue Redfern, the 4th umpire, just third umpire watching
ball
this.
is passing close to the bat. Can we go ultra edge, please?
Sue had a bit of a tricky
Copy
call
that, thank you.
earlier.
Ball is passing close to the bat. Stand by for ultra edge.
Yeah, she did.
So she's going to hope this one's a little bit easier for her, and she'll be a bit more satisfied with the camera angles they've got available for her.
Thank you. Okay, play through for me, please. Yeah, just play that back for me, please. Just go all the way back to in front of the bat for me, please. Okay, now play frame by frame and freeze. Yeah, there's a bit of noise on the line. Just go back 1 for me, please. And go forward. Yep, so all the way back for me, director. I want to start again and go before the ball has reached the bat, please. Can we go frame by frame on freeze?
Well, Perry's walking off.
Go next frame, clear gap. No, take it back one, please. We need to freeze each frame for me, please. Yeah, go one forward. Yeah, clear gap, one forward. Clear gap, one forward. Clear gap, one forward. All the way for me, please.
I think Perry's going to have to come back here.
Okay, I am ready to go back on field.
I think she's going to have to come back.
Between bat and ball. Ready to go back on field, please. Russ, can you stay with your decision, please? Signal not out now, thank you.
Well, that is interesting.
Well, my question for you, Alex Hartley, if Elise Perry has shown a bit of intent here to walk off...
That is interesting.
Suggesting she's hit the ball...
There was a spike on the ultra edge.
So the issue for Sue Redfern here was the alignment of that spike on the ultra edge. And Elise Perry, after seeing the first replay, started walking off. So, I mean, if it wasn't currently conclusive from that, but she decided to walk off, was that her going? She knew she hit it?
When the spike...
As Glenn continuing to Perry, who's picking up the single into the covers.
When there's a spike, the ball is past the bat, and there is a gap between bat and ball. The spike is delayed.
We had a few small boos around the ground. It wasn't quite Lords a few days ago, but a few members of the crowd a bit confused by that one. But Elise Perry survived. She's 18 off 12. Sutherland in the middle with her on 7, and Australia 109 for 5. Wow, it wouldn't be the Ashes with a bit of drama. I feel like there's been so much happening in the men's Ashes. I feel like women have got to contribute a bit more.
Elise Perry thinks she's hit it. She comes back shrugging her shoulders, going, I'm not sure, I was walking off.
78 needed, 36 balls remaining, and Lauren Bell...
You know as a batter as well if you've hit it, so she's walked off knowing she's probably hit that.
From a batter's point of view, that's a great thing though, isn't it? So sneaky as Bell in bowls as Perry swings the ball away to deep square. Just the single taken. 77 more runs needed. I mean, first of all, I loved how thorough Sue Redfern was in her third umpiring duties. Almost reminded me of my food tech teacher who used to make you scrub those glasses until there was not a single spot on them, even if it kept you in for the whole lunch break. Bell past the umpire. Slower ball, back of a length, and great bit of work at short third just to get a hand to it. It's Glenn there. Waited patiently for that one. Sutherland came slow off the surface. Doesn't quite manage to beat the inner ring. 76 more runs needed. A required run rate of 13.4 now. And you mentioned, Alex Hartley, those bowling options after this over. Nat Sciver-Brunt's still got 2. Lauren Bell will have 1. 1 piece for Dean and Gibson. As Bell's bowling full delivery, worked off the pad straight to Eccleston, and a quick single taken in the end. And then Sophie Eccleston, apologies, it was 1 left for Charlie Dean, Sarah Glenn, 2 left for Sophie Eccleston and Danny Gibson. So for once, it almost feels like Australia have as many options as England have as many options as Australia.
Yeah, it does it. It feels like England have all the options tonight, and that's what it feels like when you're on top of a game. It feels like you can turn to any bowler at any stage.
Fine legs brought inside the ring, and cover goes out as Bell lines up to bowl to Sutherland. She's charging in now. Bowls full and looking to swing that one out of London with Sutherland. This is out, and Bell, who bowled that penultimate over Edgbaston on Saturday and picked up a wicket but also got hit for those 2 boundaries. She did show the variety of slower balls she has. That one just almost looked like a knuckleball.
Sutherland gave it the kitchen, not the kitchen sink.
As Bell in again to Sutherland. Another slower ball heaved in the air and down the ground for 4. For a moment there, it looked as if Eccleston was in the game, just making her way round. But in the end, Sutherland just waiting an age for that slower ball. 71 runs needed from Australia.
Really well played from Annabelle Sutherland. Just slower ball from Lauren Bell. Waits, and then accelerates. Almost like a spring waiting to coil. Coil waiting to spring? Is that the saying? One of them.
I think so.
Anyway, she's wound up and then accelerated.
Whichever one's not the right one, then you've now invented a new one. Bell, Yorker, just hammered down the ground, and actually Eccleston doesn't get round in time. It's another boundary. And Bell not doing too much wrong here in the end. Does mean Australia 67 needed, 30 balls remaining. Perry on 20, Sutherland on 16. And Alex Hartley, are you staying with us?
I am.
Oh, wait, is there 3 of us?
There is.
Is there 4 of us? Sorry, Phil. Oh, I'm not here anymore, but you guys enjoy it. A few more thoughts from you, Alex, and then it'll be Henry Moran.
Well, my question to you, Al Blackwell, is can Australia do it from here? 67 off 30 balls. It would be a remarkable chase.
I mean, scary thing is they certainly can. 2 world-class all-rounders at the crease. Just the way Sutherland clears that front leg and hits the ball so perfectly straight. We saw it at Edgbaston as well.
Here comes Sarah Glenn bowling to Perry, driving out to deep cover. Australia actually ahead of where England were at this point in their innings. This is not done yet. 66 needed from 29.
That's right. Australia needed 67 off the last 5 overs. England scored 67 off the last 5 overs.
Whew.
Oh, good.
Strap yourselves in.
Just when I thought England were guaranteed to win a game.
No. Strap yourselves in, because this is going to get tense. Here comes Sarah Glenn. Bowling to Sutherland, gives herself some room. Slapped into the leg side for 4. Pressure building on England here, and Sutherland has 20 off 11. She scored 137 unbeaten in the Test match. She may be coming in at 7 here, but make no mistake about it, you can pretty much flip the Australian top 8, and anyone coming in is going to be an exceptional player.
And that's a remarkable shot from Sutherland as well. It's not a bad ball from Sarah Glenn. Her average is 10, but she's so much better than that is Sutherland.
Glenn bowling to Sutherland, is in the air, straight to cover, taken! Annabelle Sutherland is caught by the England captain Heather Knight, playing her 100th T20 international. I'm not saying England needed that, but that won't half help any nerves that were building. Up go the Flames, and Heather Knight's boyfriend Tim, who I just saw walking around the concourses holding 4 pints at once, will be enjoying them just a little bit more.
Well, they might not be in his hands anymore. He might have thrown them in the air, because that was a good catch from Heather Knight. Her extra cover up and above her head. It was travelling, that ball. She hit it hard. She hit it extremely hard. And you say England didn't need that, Henry. I think they did.
Well, a little bit of mayo on that catch as well. I love it. I love it. And that was a crucial catch by captain Heather Knight. Dangerous Sutherland. She's gone now. I think Australia still will believe they can do it. 62 from 27. We've seen some special things from Elise Perry in the past. And this kid can bat too. Georgia Wareham, she's the leg spinner. Fantastic in the field, but she can bat as well. She didn't get a bowl today. The Aussies preferring to go with pace. So what can she do with the bat now?
Reminder, England need to win this. If they don't, the Ashes is done. Australia will be taking that trophy home again. If England win, we go to Lord's.
And we fight another day.
Here comes Sarah Glenn. Wareham, the right-hander on strike, deep in the crease, will punch out to cover for a single. Perry is inevitably the key. She was given not out on the field. England reviewed it. There was a spike, but just after the ball seemed to have passed the outside edge. Perry, though, was walking.
Perry thought she was gone.
Which tells a bit of a story, perhaps. Perry forward, this is walloped into the offside. Work to do in the deep, good work as well. That's a good piece of fielding from Capsey, because that was struck well. Diving to her left at wide long off. We've just seen a picture of Elisa Healy in the dugout, looking rather nervous. You don't often see that from the Australian.
England in the box seat here. I think this is a tough chase. 60 off 25, just the 4 wickets in hand.
Here comes Glenn, and this is punched gently towards cover. Knight quickly across to pick up. Dot ball. Dot so important here. 60 needed from 24, 15 and over, and Australia chase it down here. Then you say, well, fair play.
So when was the last time Australia lost a T20? So I know they lost that one against India in the Super Over.
2021 March.
Was that the India one?
No, against New Zealand. Game in Dunedin, I think.
I guess we heard Phil tell us earlier, out of the last 24, Australia have won 23. So Yes, I guess there could have been that loss not too long ago, but that record, unbelievable in the T20 game when it brings teams closer together. Australia still coming out on top.
Well, is this England's trump card? Sophie Ecclestone's got 2 overs left. The first will be bowled now. Elise Perry on strike with a deep cover. Long off, long on, deep mid-wicket. And the pressure all on Australia. Here comes Ecclestone round the wicket. Perry drives beautifully, but only as far as Knight. There's a dot ball. 60 needed from 23.
Heather Knight on the ringer, extra cover, knowing that Perry's only going to look to hit the ball hard. They need boundaries, Australia. They don't need singles.
In comes Ecclestone. This is jammed out for 4. And Ecclestone has her hands on her head. She can't quite believe how Elise Perry has managed to thread that behind square on the offside for a boundary, but she has. 56 from 22.
Well, they're Sydney Sixers teammates, these two, Ecclestone and Perry, in the WBBL back in Australia, but there'll be no love lost here. That was a great shot, just squeezing the ball out. Yorker delivery, seeing Perry advance, and was fired in.
Ecclestone to Perry, deep in the crease. This time slashes behind square for 4 more. Is she starting to find the groove? Is she starting to put pressure on England? 52 from 21.
Well, they need it, Australia. They need boundaries. England's still in the driving seat. They are still in control of this game. However, if this over goes wrong for England, they'll panic because this is Sophie Ecclestone bowling. Ecclestone
To Perry, who wallops the ball with a flat-batted heave down towards long on. Capsey is good in the field, picks up, and it's just 1. So 51 needed from 20 deliveries. 2 balls left of this over. Wareham's on 1. 9 from the over so far. Perry at the non-striker's end has got 31 from 20. But from England's perspective, she's at the non-striker's end. Hush around the oval as in comes Ecclestone. Wareham drives, can only find cover, no run.
Clever from Amy Jones, that. Heather Knight had just crept to the other side of that disc, and Amy Jones halted play and said, Heather, move to your left, move to your left.
Boundary here for Wareham. That's what she should be aiming for, to keep Perry on strike for the next over.
Field remains the same. The right-handed Wareham is looking for that boundary option. And she gives herself room, chips it over the infield, but it'll only get the 1 run, I fancy, and so it means she'll keep the strike. Throw comes in on the bounce, and England will take that. Applause from Ecclestone. 50 needed from 18. The over costs 10, but bearing in mind that they needed to go at 15s, anything below that is, in theory, a win for England. I've just been down there into the crowd because I thought I've got to sample this, Alex, and well, both Alexes, and it's brilliant down there. It really is. It's absolutely jam-packed at this end of the ground. And there is a real sense of passion, enthusiasm. And when that Elise Perry decision was given not out, I thought I was back at Lord's on Sunday afternoon. I may have heard the brief refrain of same old Aussies.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of spice happening, isn't there? And this crowd has been treated to a spectacle. What a game this has been. It's not over. 50 from 18. It's going to be tough for Aussies from here.
Here comes Dean. It's tossed up outside the off stump. Slicing shot is stopped at the second attempt.
Got to run that.
By Lauren Bell. And you're saying they should have run that. They didn't.
Perry's got to be on strike. Lauren Bell, if she picks it up cleanly and shies at the stumps and hits, well done, well fielded. For me, that's got to be a single.
50 needed from 17. Charlie Dean bowls. This is nicely played. Well, that is a good shot. It's lofted over cover for 4. 1 bounce, and Wareham showing that she too can offer the aggressive roll. The required rate is up to 17. 46 needed from 16. We're not done yet, by no stretch of the imagination.
I take it back.
She's a power hitter,
yeah.
Georgia Wareham. Alana King can also do that job, but Wareham preferred.
Oh, 6 into the leg side. Massive blow from Wareham. Hold on a minute as we welcome our listeners on BBC Radio 5 Live. We've seen back-to-back boundaries from Australia, who know if they can win this game, they will retain the Ashes. England are in the driving seat, but Australia, with 15 balls remaining, need 40 to win. And Georgia Wareham, batting at number 8, has hit 4 and then 6. And suddenly the air has been sucked out of the oval, and Charlie Dean is facing pressure. Hit again hard into the leg side. 6 more. 34 needed from 14. And the game is swinging violently in the way of Australia.
Well, there is so much trust this Australian team puts in Georgia Wareham, all facets of the game. She's a supreme professional. She's a power hitter at the tail end of the order. And we saw Perry, she wasn't that fussed about getting on strike because she knows Georgia Wareham can clear the rope. She's got the stable base. She's using her strength. She's got a great eye.
34 from 14. This is driven hard into the ground. It'll just be 1. England will take that. It brings Perry back onto strike. The over has gone .466-1. Australia need 33 runs from 13 balls. England need a win to stay alive in this Women's Ashes series. This Australia side have not lost a T20 in normal time, if you like, without the need of a super over since March 2021. You've got to go back 31 matches. Perry goes hard into the leg side as she found the gap for 4. Dunkley runs around for all she's worth, does brilliantly well to stop 4. It was awkward, it was bouncing horribly for the England batter, but she stopped it. And it's 31 needed from 12 deliveries. It's a big over for Australia. Phil Long, our scorer, how many was it worth?
In the end, it was worth 19.
So they've just dragged the required rate down a touch. Alex Hartley, World Cup winner for England, is grimacing. Alex Blackwell, multiple World Cup winner and former captain of Australia, just adds a little note to your notepad. How are you feeling now?
Oh, I mean, it's still game on. I think there's big pressure on this penultimate over. We saw it at Edgbaston. We thought maybe Eccleston to bowl that second last over to push the game out of reach for the last over. Knight is going once again to the less experienced bowler in Lauren Bell. She's backing her in. We saw some wonderful leg cut deliveries for the change of pace and choosing not to go with Nat Sciver-Brunt, just bowling the 2 overs tonight. So here we go. Big over for Bell.
Big call. 31 from 12 needed. As a slower ball from Bell is well delivered, and the toe end of the bat sees just 1 taken. So every delivery that isn't a boundary here is crucial, because this penultimate over is where, as a chasing side, you look to win it. Similarly, if you're defending a score, if you can get out of it without too much damage, then you're most of the way there.
Yeah, huge over this for England, and Lauren Bell will just look to take pace off. Back of the hand, slower balls all the way throughout this over, I imagine.
Elise Perry on strike. In comes Lauren Bell, and this is chipped in the air into the leg side. I don't think it'll be a chance of a catch, but it shouldn't be more than 2. Throw comes in from Sciver-Brunt at deep mid-wicket, and 2 runs are taken. 28 needed from 10.
Yeah, I guess my feeling is around that second last over, like bowling your best bowler.
That's what England should have done in the previous game.
They may still win from here. Australia backs against the wall, 28 off 10 required.
Here comes Lauren Bell, charging into bowl to Elise Perry, who's waiting. It's a delivery which is helped round the corner. Eccleston tumbles and does well enough to stop anything more than a single. It was not, I don't think, a bit of fielding that will win many points for elegance, but it was quite effective.
So I think Wareham here on strike, 19 off 10. She's done a great job, but she'll want to see her side home for a historic run chase.
It would be the highest run chase for Australia in T20 history for them.
She'll stay in her crease, wait for the delivery.
Bell running into bowl to Wareham, who's bowled! Georgia Wareham goes off stump, runk back. And England's gamble, if gamble it was, to bowl the youngster Lauren Bell in this penultimate over. Is it paying off? 27 needed from 8. England are on the brink. The job is not done, but this crowd at the Oval know that that is a mighty big step.
Huge step for England. And Lauren Bell, take a bow, holding your nerve. It's not easy bowling this stage of the game. It's a back-of-the-hand slower ball. It beats Georgia Wareham, who's looking to heave the ball into the leg side. And Lauren Bell gives it the fist pump and a huge sigh of relief, because Wareham was going so well there.
Well, that was some hitting from Georgia Wareham. She kept the Aussies in it. It is Jess Jonathan coming to the crease. This person can bat anywhere in the Australian order. She has opened in T20 cricket, in T20 World Cup finals, in fact. So the game is not done yet, but that was a huge wicket. And what trust the captain, Knight, has put in this young fast bowler. She's backing her in to bowl those slower balls, and they're accurate as well. Yes, taking the pace off, but keeping the stumps in play. It's been terrific from Lauren Bell.
So Jonathan, the left-hander, joins the action with still 27 needed for Australia from 8 balls. You're listening to Women's Ashes Cricket. BBC 5 Live, 5 Sports Extra, ABC Grandstand and BBC Sounds. And here comes Lauren Bell. 27 needed from 8. Bell round the wicket to the left-handed Jonathan, who sees a very wide delivery, too wide. So 26 from 8. She thought about it, did Anna Harris, the umpire. But in the end, it was just offline. 26 from 8 balls.
The crowd has been amazing tonight, hasn't it? So good. It's so good to see Edgbaston, now the Oval, just showing that people are interested in watching this.
Lauren Bell to bowl to Jess Jonathan around the wicket, straight to delivery, whipped into the leg side, could be 4 runs, and it will be. Jonathan slapping the ball square. And 22 from 7. It's going to go down to the wire, this. Make no mistake.
Quite often as teams we talk about what are you comfortable defending and what are you comfortable chasing in the last over. As an Australian team, knowing that Sophie Ecclestone is going to bowl the last over, what do you want to be chasing?
Oh, look, I think they'll back themselves to get 14 if they need it. It's going to be a tough ask here for Jonathan, who's new to the crease, but to find the boundary off her first legal delivery at least, she's doing a great job. So, look, we need a big one here. Jonathan's got to find the boundary.
Here comes Lauren Bell. Final ball of her over, and she bowls a slower ball, which has been spooned in the air. Should be a chance of a catch. Capsey running in. Doesn't try to take it. In the end, is happy with the risk of, or avoiding the risk, rather, of trying to take the catch and seeing more runs taken. 2 are added, 20 needed from the final 6.
Well, this game's not over. Perry on strike. Perry on strike. Who said cricket is boring, eh? This is an absolute thriller. England, they were walking it at one stage. And Australia now, they need 20 from the remaining 6 balls. The world's best bowler to bowl it, but it doesn't mean she doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that she doesn't feel pressure. It's on Sophie Ecclestone here to keep this Ashes series alive for England, and that is a huge ask for a 24-year-old.
#1 bowler in the world in T20 and ODI cricket. And Ecclestone is just geeing the crowd up. She knows that any support that's going to get in the minds of the Australians. I mean, you can't really ask for a better person in this situation for Australia than Elise Perry. She made her debut in 2007. She's been the face of the women's game in pretty much all of the time since that debut. Phil, how many did they need with 4 to go, Australia? Hush descends around the Oval. Here comes Ecclestone round the wicket to bowl to Perry, who's down the track, hammering towards long on. It's gone straight to the hands of the fielder. It's just 1. 19 needed from 5.
The last 3 overs have gone 10, 19, 11.
That's 40. So therefore they needed. Everyone get your calculators out.
I've got
60.
my glasses on and off.
Because they needed 20 off this one, so 60 off.
Okay, thank
50.
you. 50.
50.
Remind me not to audition for GCSE Bite Size anytime soon.
You and me both.
19 off 5. Jonathan is on strike. 1 off the first ball of the over. Australia need a boundary. Here comes Ecclestone. Jonathan comes forward, hits the ball in the air, down the ground. Should be a catch. It is! Alice Capsey at her home ground in front of the Australian dugout with the safe hands. Jonathan goes. Ecclestone with a wicket, her second of the night. And England are on the brink, not just a victory in the Women's Ashes, it could be a first victory in this Ashes summer for an England side.
It could indeed, and it should be for England. It should be the first win for an England team against the Australians this summer. To see Tammy Beaumont dropped from this team, dropped from this squad, this T20 squad, in the dugout, celebrating as she's working for the opposition, shows just how much it means to everybody if you're involved or not.
19 from 4, forgive me, as we see the next in the production line of Australia superstars. And it's Megan Schutt, the opening bowler, who comes in. She's someone who averages just under 5 in T20 international cricket, so I think England have to back themselves here. But with Perry still there, you never know.
Single and then 3 sixes. That's what we need here. Megan Schutt, do the calculations.
Right then.
I mean, I'd bow down to you if that happens.
Don't you reckon?
Forward comes Schutt, struck on the pad, and they'll run through for a leg by. So here we go, 3 sixes required. If Elise Perry pulls this off...
Magic. Controversy. We'll go back to that referral.
Well, we would.
We
She
would.
was given not out on the field. England referred it for a caught behind. There was a jagged line on ultra edge,
I'd riot.
but the umpire deemed that there was a gap between bat and ball. So a 6 is required for Australia. Simple as that. Forward comes Perry. She's hit it down the ground. She's not found 6. It'll just be 2. Throw comes in. Doesn't matter for England because unless there's a no ball, 16 does not go into 2, and England are going to win this game. The crowd know it. Eccleston knows it. And this Australian team, who do not lose, they just don't lose, are about to be beaten by England. 2 balls left, 16 needed. Here comes Sophie Eccleston round the wicket. Perry dances forward, whips the ball into the leg side. There's 6. She's doing her bit, and Danny Wyatt signals 6, and there's a smile on the face of England captain Heather Knight as Perry moves to 45 from 26.
Well, a half-century on offer. I'm going to back Perry to find 6 here, and she'll feel gutted that she won't have got her team over the line on a magic night here at the Oval. The crowd about, they're ready to celebrate. England keeping the Ashes alive.
So Eccleston with the final ball of the game. 10 needed from it. As long as it's a legal delivery, this game's done. Perry comes forward, hits the ball in the air, down the ground, and does hit it for 6. But it matters not, because England have won this game. There's a roar of delight from Sophie Eccleston. The crowd rises one. Australia, world champions in every format. A side that have not lost in this format since 2021. They have lost to England in this game by 3 runs. And yes, Elise Perry is unbeaten on 51. Yes, she hit back-to-back 6s. But the Ashes series is still alive.
And that's the main thing, isn't it? England still have a chance of winning the Ashes. Australia, they need to win 1 of the remaining 4 games. But England, they could have been down and out tonight. It could have all been over. The start of that Ashes miracle for England is starting, and it's all about momentum when it comes to white ball cricket. The Australians haven't lost a game outright since 2021, March 2021. They'll be gutted, but England set them the highest ever total they've set for Australia, and Australia would have been their highest ever run chase. They just couldn't do it, and England win by 3 runs.
A special night for Heather Knight, captain of England. She got a golden duck in her 100th appearance. She wouldn't trade that for this victory. What a historic win for England. When they needed it, they brought their best. You have to bring your best if you're going to beat this Australian side. And the crowd at the Oval, they've been treated to an absolute spectacle here. And what pleasure to watch these world-class players. Perry hitting the back-to-back 6s at the end. She has shown this game is not over till that last ball.
But England win it, and they just had enough. They set a target of 187 for Australia, and goodness, did Australia start quickly. 59 for the first partnership inside of 6.2 overs before Elisa Healy was out. The first wicket falling, bowled by Sarah Glenn. And England just kept on chipping away. They found wickets, a little flurry of them, with Talia McGrath going for just 4, Ash Gardner for 9, and Beth Mooney, crucially, for 22. Elise Perry unbeaten at the end on 51. And Annabelle Sutherland's 20 off just 12 balls looked as though it could be taking the game towards Australia, but they had enough. England had enough, Phil Long, and they get over the line.
They did just have enough, yes. Australia's highest score, batting second. They didn't win tonight. They needed 20 off that last over, and they got 16.
Thank you very much, Phil. 2 wickets apiece for Sarah Glenn and Sophie Eccleston. Charlie Dean, Lauren Bell and Danielle Gibson each picking up 1. and England get their first points of the Women's Ashes. They could have won either of the first two matches, the Test and the first T20. They have won in the second T20. We head to Lords on Saturday evening with England still alive in this Women's Ashes series. What entertainment for the 20,000 plus inside the Oval. It is victory for England. For our listeners on 5 Live Sport, we hand back to Steve Crossman. And here on 5 Sports Extra, with England celebrating and knowing they have crossed a very, very important line to beat Australia, I'll hand over to Emily Winter.
Yeah, what an unbelievable night here for England to get that victory against Australia. Absolutely phenomenal, and some phenomenal performances that we're mentioned alongside me, Melissa Story. We're going to go through this. Wow.
First of all, just brilliant that the Ashes series has been kept alive, Emily. You know, there's been talk of a sellout crowd at the Ageas Bowl in Southampton, sellout in Taunton. So it's good to know that this series hasn't been retained, the Ashes hasn't been retained by Australia at the earliest opportunity. You know, this England team, they've had a lot of fighting talk, and one thing we said at the start of this test, at the start of this game, was that even the Test, even the first T20, a few other things had changed. You know, it could have easily gone the other way. The same with the men's Ashes. We've been treated to some brilliant games overall, and of course the standout for England in their batting card, and you know her very well, Emily, Danni Wyatt, 76 off 46. Just how important was that innings to England?
Yeah, look, absolutely crucial. I think England's top order, Sophia Dunkley and Nat Sciver-Brunt got 23 each, but that middle order, losing quick wickets, Danni Wyatt was there and there for a long period of time, and she went hard at the Australian bowlers early, but she kept that momentum throughout the England innings. I think it's very easy when you're losing wickets around you for it to slow that run rate, but they kept the foot on the gas, and I think Danni Wyatt, for her, would have really, really enjoyed that one. She likes to hold her hand up, especially in front of a big crowd, and was there one tonight, over 20,000 people in. And yeah, I think she just played her game, and I think when Danni Wyatt is playing freely and she's hitting the areas that we see traditionally Danni Wyatt hit, over the top of extra cover, over mid-off, we know we're in for a thriller, and she did that for the crowd here tonight.
And England's lower order added a further 66 runs off the final 30 balls. I hope I've got this right. I'm going to turn and look at Phil slightly, but turn my back, because in case it's wrong, I don't mind. Emily, I mean, great to see England's lower order just contributing. And, you know, it got a little bit wobbly at stages. They were 100 for 1, then slipped to 119 for 6 at one stage. It's good in a sense, I guess, that England didn't suddenly just go, oh, we're 6 down, it's Australia, it's all done for, but they actually went, no, we bat just as deep as them. And how, you know, do you change your mindset like that in a changing room?
Look, I think players of Sophie Ecclestone class, I think she at the end there was the one who really made an impact. She, in her own right, is a batter. We've seen what she can do in English cricket. For me personally, I'd quite like to see her higher up the order, to be honest. I think the damage she can do, particularly in T20 cricket, 22 off 12 deliveries. Do we want to be seeing more of Sophie Ecclestone with the bat? But I think, look, she's 24 years old. She's going to turn into an all-rounder for England, that's for sure. And I think as well, Sarah Glenn, 10 off 8, that partnership was absolutely crucial.
And not only with the bat, but you mentioned earlier on commentary, Ecclestone the fastest to 100 T20 wickets in terms of her age, in terms of games played. It's incredible to think, you know, you go, oh, thank goodness we've got Sophie Ecclestone, but England could have Sophie Ecclestone for another 10 plus years, really. And to think she's raced to 100 wickets now, just how many will she go on to get?
Look, I think she's going to be the best player in the world for a long, long period of time. She's a serious talent, and I think the amount of experience she's already got, it's just frightening, actually. I think Sophie Ecclestone, everyone knows about her. She's the best bowler in the world across all formats, and she's 24.
Phil's got a few.
Yeah, and figures tonight of 2 for 35 for Sophie Ecclestone, skewed by the fact that Elise Perry hit those last 2 balls for 6. 2 for 23 got into those last 2 balls. The game was won then, and as you say, runs with the bat, takes wickets. She's 24 years old. Thank goodness she's English.
The other thing that I mentioned about Sophie Ecclestone as well, actually, is her fielding for me has come on a lot, especially this summer. We're seeing her in some key fielding positions and making some important stops. So, look, She is one of England's greatest ever players, and she's going to go high further and further.
And speaking of the use of spin in this game, England going in with 3 spinners, Charlie Dean, Sarah Glenn, Sophie Eccleston, all bowling their 4 allotted overs. The big question mark for Australia is Georgia Wareham, leg spinner, didn't end up bowling at all in this game. Australia seemed to interpret this pitch as a bit more of a hard, good batting track they're used to in Australia and went in with that seam approach. Do you think they made a mistake, Emily, by not bowling Georgia Wareham?
Yeah, look, I think having a leg spinner in your side, it always brings that shadow of a doubt into a batter's mind. But I find that peculiar that she didn't bowl. I think Australia have the depth in their lineup with both the bat and the ball, and sometimes that can fall almost in the opposite way because you've got too many bowlers to pick from. You can't decide which is the right one. But yeah, very surprised we didn't even see her get a go, especially when Ashley Gardner bowled 4 overs for 39 and picked up 2 wickets. So the spin option did go pretty well. So yeah, that's an unusual decision from the captain, Alyssa Healy.
And another Australian performance. I know that, of course, they're on the losing side here tonight, which feels a strange one to say, but Annabelle Sutherland as well bowled her 4 overs, 28 runs, 3 wickets. She took 2 catches and was involved in a run out as well. So a good game for Annabelle Sutherland. We'll go live now, pitch side, with Henry Moran.
So victory for England, a first victory of this Ashes summer for any England side. Goodness me, it's been a little glorious beating this Australian side here just about at the back end. It got so tight. Elise Perry hit back-to-back sixes with Australia needing 20 of the final 3 deliveries. They could only find 14, and England got over the line and got the victory to mean that they get their first points on board in this Women's Ashes series. We're gonna get some reaction from the England shortly, but I'm just wondering if I can find Danny Barr trying to make signal stays okay, so we're going to have to walk a little bit further this way. Danny, if that's okay, as all the champagne. Congratulations.
It's an incredible record you've had over
obviously really delighted to win tonight, see our celebration. Yeah, lovely wicket here. Yeah, really delighted to get the win, and the crowd is up 20s, and hopefully we can get another big crowd at Lord's for the deciding.
We're going to just wander a little further this way, Danny, because we need to make sure that we're in range so that we can hear every word that you're saying, because it's a shame to miss anything. But how important does it have broken that beating Australia?
Yeah, special, but we've still got.
How do the girls feel about playing these iconic venues over?
Well, it seems we're having a few technical difficulties with Henry there, just straying a bit too far away from our commentary position. I'm sure we'll be able to hear from Henry and Danny Wyatt in just a second as they get a little bit closer from us. A few more thoughts from you, Phil.
Well, they wander back into range. We can see them, can't we? We're kind of waving them into our signal. Let me tell you, that game tonight produced 369 runs in front of 20,000 and something fans. That's the highest aggregate in a England versus Australia women's T20 international. So I don't think anyone's going to leave tonight thinking they haven't been fully entertained. And an England win.
An England win in front of a big crowd. You know, there's been a lot on cricket recently, and bringing in audiences, making sure it's, you know, as inclusive as possible. Games like this, you know, with accessible ticket prices, Emily, where we have an almost full crowd here. We've got families in, we've got people coming after work of all ages, all genders. It's just brilliant to see for the game overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that English cricket internationally is producing this, we saw big crowds in the 100, but now for international fixtures, so it should be, there's people that coming in to watch what a fantastic spectacle it was. And I think when you've got players of Danny Wyatt's calibre scoring runs as she is, and I think we're going to hear more from Danny Wyatt now, are we?
We're going to head back pitch side, and hopefully we'll be hearing from Henry Moran.
Well, let's give it another go. Thank you so much. Is still alongside me. So, Danny, that question of beating Australia, did it need to happen? Because you've got close, and had you not got over the line tonight, how challenging would that have been to pick yourselves up again?
Yeah, well, even in the test match, we were so close. In the last T20, we were so close. And we said, after the last game, we said, you know, it's just those few moments that haven't gone our way, and we've just got to stick together everyone up our games by a few percent, and we'll get that win, and we did tonight. So hopefully we'll recharge our batteries and go again for that last T20.
Talk us through your innings, because you've got good form against Australia in T20s, 200s previously, and another great knock tonight.
Yeah, obviously been around a while now, and I'm familiar with the Australian bowlers, but you know, every game has new challenges, new conditions. I haven't played here much actually at the Oval. Yeah, we expected it to be really flat, and after the first couple of balls, Dunks came down to me and she was like, okay, it's not that flat. But we just said, you know, just back ourselves, T20, you've just got to be brave. Play your game, you know, for me it's running well, getting busy, rotating the strike, and really back yourself, because I thought the Australian bowlers bowled into the pitch, bowled quite a few short balls, so we were ready for those. And yeah, once it went through the infield, it was 4, so it was just a matter of hanging in there, even though we lost a few quick wickets in the middle. But just got to keep the intent, which, you know, we started with Svi Dunkley, especially at the start. And yeah, we've just got to go again at Lord's.
Was it important from a series point of view, of course, in terms of the points, but also the momentum for England? Because, as I mentioned, those games were close first up, and it feels, looking on, that England and Australia are perhaps closer than they have been previously.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully this is the start now, and not to get too far ahead of ourselves. Like, we're going to celebrate tonight. You know, to beat Australia is a massive achievement, and it was heaven. It's 100th T20 as well, so well, that's a massive achievement for her. And yeah, we'll just talk about what we've done, what we can improve on, and go again.
Going into that game on Saturday, you know it's another must-win. I mean, that keeps it simple.
Yeah, exactly. We've just got to keep winning, as you say, and yeah, just, you know, reflect individually on what we can do better ourselves, and just go out there and give it our all, really.
Well, Dan, the bowling, you don't have the depth that the Australian girls have. Lauren Bell, in ultimate over the last 2 T20s, she's really stood up. Can you tell us a little bit about her resilience and ability to bowl in those tough moments?
Yeah, I said to Lauren, I was like, mate, keep going. You know, it's so hard to be a bowler in T20 cricket. And yeah, her slow balls were fantastic at the end there, and she bowled so well, and she's worked really hard actually on those slower balls. I'm really happy for her, and she's got a big future ahead of her. Hopefully that'll give us some massive confidence for the rest of the series.
And just finally, 1,000 tonight, huge crowd, some atmosphere there.
Yeah, it's quality, even at Edgbaston, 20,000 there. So Lords, hopefully they all come out at Lords for T20, no pressure. But yeah, they've really got behind us, and they've been our 12th man, and yeah, that was for the crowd as well.
Thank you very much, Danny. Well played this evening. A first victory for England in this Women's Ashes series. We'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy that enormous bottle of champagne which you've got there. We're going to speak to Elise Perry as well, whose efforts with that unbeaten 50 not quite enough in the end for Australia. Elise, well played this evening. It's a rare defeat for Australia, but England have been close and finally get over the line. What did you make of tonight's game?
Yeah, a great game again. It's just lovely to have these really tight tussles with such a wonderful England side, and a really nice atmosphere at the Oval as well. And I thought, yeah, England were the better side tonight, probably by some margin. And it was nice to keep it as close as we did. But yeah, I think we were sort of just a bit off in all facets of the game tonight.
Alex up in the commentary box said if there's one player that can hit the back-to-back-to-back sixes to win this, and who'll have the mentality to do it, it's you, and you got close.
Oh, no, I think everyone in the squad's probably got the same mentality. But yeah, I missed that first ball of the over, and it was probably there to put over the rope, and I just didn't get enough of it, and I think from then it was going to be a hard task. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bit of consolation in the last 2 balls, but yeah, like, it was really good to get back as close as we did. I thought Georgia Wareham played a really pivotal role there with a great over against Charlie Dean. I mean, the back end to make a game of it, but played really well.
Australia don't lose many matches. I mean, how do you, as a side, cope with it when you do lose?
The sun comes out the next day. It's really, you know, in the grand scheme of things, look, that happens at sport. I think it's also a really great, you know, I guess, thing for the series in a sense, but also shows just, you know, how important and close these competitions are between the two teams. And, you know, we haven't taken any game lightly. It's nice to be on the winning side in the start of the Ashes, but I think there's a long way to go. So, yeah, we'll just dust ourselves off and really excited for Lords on Saturday.
Pez, you're the only player on the pitch to have played an international T20 at this venue. We've got to go back.
Let's
World. Like the pitch, it had pretty good pace and bounce.
I thought it was a really great wicket, actually, and obviously, like, it was a high-scoring game. I think most of the matches here this season have all been high-scoring. The square extends all the way across the ground, so there's lots of great value for shots. But I thought the paces were really in the game today. Annabelle Sutherland bowled particularly well. Dusty Brown bowled really well, but it just felt like, if you missed your length, you just went the journey. So I think that made it a really good wicket, kept everyone in the game. And Al, you mentioned 2009. Not great memories here, to be honest, wearing an Australian shirt. But a great atmosphere and just wonderful to have so many people come and watch.
Elise, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again at the weekend in front of what'll be, I'm sure, another big... I mean, that is a great thing, just finding these crowds. It feels like big occasions.
With the ever played in Bridge for the Test match and the 5 days there, and then the first two T20s have had a great atmosphere. It sounds like there's some really strong ticket sales for the rest, including the one-dayers. So it's been such a privilege to come over here. It's a wonderful place to play cricket, and whilst we probably don't have the support of the crowd, just being in this atmosphere and being able to entertain people has just been really lovely.
We certainly did that. Many thanks, Elise. Lovely to see you, and we'll see you again at the weekend. The England captain, Heather Knight, is here as well. Heather, a victory, and you needed one as well.
Yeah, we did. I think it's probably always going to be a close one. I think getting over that final hurdle was really important for us as a side. I think the way we've stayed really positive and been really resilient after obviously 2 close losses, I think it's been outstanding. And now we've got over that hurdle. Hopefully we can carry on and do something special. The first job is obviously down at Lords, focusing on that. And we know Australia will come back very hard at us. And now we're trying to win this T20 series 2-1.
I mentioned that the sort of breaking that barrier of beating Australia. How important is it to have done that?
Yeah, really important. I think probably it was a little bit of a psychological hurdle for us to get over, and me and John talked about last night actually how once we get over that, we feel like we're going to fly. So I think, the fact that we did it made it a little bit of a close one in the end, a little bit of a nervy one, but I think it was outstanding, particularly how Danny played. I think she doesn't get enough credit for how smart a cricketer she is, and I think she played brilliantly to her strengths tonight. That sort of innings when we lost a few wickets in the middle as well was outstanding, and I think winning probably only when we're playing about 80% of our capacity is a really good sign.
How are your nerves towards the back end when the boundaries were being found by Australia, still in England's control, but it just felt as though, goodness, one big over could change everything?
It still felt in our control. I think it was a really good wicket that actually got better under lights, hence. But it was all about just holding our nerve. We've kept calm, clear, and communicated really well. Is something we've been pretty vocal about working on as a team, and I think the fruits of our labour, I guess, it worked out tonight in how calm and clear we were at the back end.
Well, Heather, congrats on the win. Massive win. Any comment around Nat Sciver-Brunt not bowling those sort of pressure overs at the end? You've obviously gone with young Lauren Bell, who's done a fantastic job in that second last over.
Yeah, she's managing that a little bit, and 2 was all that we were going to get out of her tonight, so that was purely the basis around it, and Lauren's been outstanding. I think she's really taken up the mantle of bowling those tough overs for us at the top end and the back end, she's very clear and knows exactly what she wants to do and deliver her skills, so that was the reason.
Just finally on commentary, it feels, I'm just going to go over here so we can get line of sight commentary box and the radio microphone. It's felt on looking on that England have been closer during this series than at any other time in the last 5 years to Australia. How much of a relief is it to win just to prove that?
Yeah, it is, and we feel that as a group as well. I feel like we've gone toe-to-toe with them a lot in the first 2 games, just haven't quite been able to get over the line, and I think there's a real belief, a bigger belief than we've probably had in the last few Ashes series that we're good enough to beat this team and we can really compete. They're obviously a brilliant side and have a lot of success, but there's certainly that belief. Obviously even better now we've got over.
Well played tonight, Heather, and we'll see you on Saturday. Cheers, many thanks. Cheers. Right then, with this patchy microphone, we're going to head back to you shortly for our listeners on 5 Sports Extra, but it is Victory for England, and it is a victory they so needed. Australia couldn't quite chase down that target of 187.